Welcome. I have everything set. What did I do with that? Missing a key component there. See if the volume just set just right. Greetings. Welcome everyone to Dorsey's Resource. First, as usual, before we get started, I'd like to give a disclaimer. This video is going to be for informational, educational, and entertainment purposes only. Please understand everyone's individual circumstance or situation may be different. It's up to every individual competent person to please do his or her own homework and research into the matter being discussed. This information is not to be construed as legal advice. In the event you feel you need to seek a competent professional, it is encouraged you do so at one's own leisure. Dorsey's Resource channel is not liable or responsible for any misuse of this information. These are simply my thoughts and opinions on the topic being discussed. Keep in mind, everyone is responsible for their own affairs. Please govern yourselves accordingly. All rights are reserved. Now, let's get into the topic. The topic of this video is going to be pertaining to the Dinar RV/GCR update. Is the reset close or is it delayed again? This is going to be a Q&A. I'm going to go over, read some updates, and give my opinion. I also have a public service announcement to discuss too. I want to thank you guys once again, those who've continued to stay subscribed to my channel, those who've rocked with me here behind the scenes. Things are picking up. I've been meaning to do a video, but at the same time, I was trying to go dark for a while, but be more private because I didn't request this information, but people talk out there. Something I was part of in the past. I'm going to try to, speak in code. Some people can allude to things I might be referring to, but I'm going to try to speak in code. I've been considering shutting the channel down. Again, this is going to go back and forth, vacillating with this particular issue, but there appears to be some big things on the horizon. And I thought about doing a video dealing with the Dinar. I see Andre Butler in the chat says, "What up, D? What's up? Appreciate you joining. Appreciate you." This is also a Q&A session, so I'm not sure how many people we're going to get in. If you have any questions about the reset or anything in particular, don't hesitate. Feel free to chime in anytime, any questions, statements, or concerns you want to address or put out there. Appreciate you guys. And getting into the topic without further ado. So I've been hearing by indication of some things that's been taking place. We may be a lot closer, but still, I've always been optimistic about this type of, some people don't like to call it an investment, whatever, but it is I feel a form of it where you're going to do an exchange for something that people believe that one day their currency will someday go up in value. By the way, let me see if I can get this light adjusted over here. If I can kind of adjust that. So some people feel that they have differences of opinion. But I've noticed throughout the years at one time, just to go over a little background, some people think that this type of investment is a scam or whatever, but I do know to go over for newbies. I hear over in more recent years, there's been a lot of new people that have been currency holders buying this foreign currency, by the way. And they wonder, there's still skepticism because it's going on for so many years now. I remember I first heard about this currency investment back in around 06. Some refer to it as that, around 2006. And I, at the time, didn't make my first purchase until around maybe the early part of 2011, because I did my research into it. I don't just jump into something without doing any research. That's why I do give a disclaimer, and I encourage everyone to do very in-depth, thorough research. And I have private sources in the city of Detroit. I had people that told me, I even spoke to a banker last year. We're almost into, funny how time goes by fast. I believe it was 2019, by the way. still a year ago, I had a banker confirm to me that the institution that she worked for in another state, which was Fifth Third Bank, they did sell the dinar at one time, even though they may have stopped. I had confirmation that when I first heard about this investment, that Chase Bank sold it at one time. And then I remember many years ago when I would check into it, like maybe around 2012, 2013, the banks were instructed privately, or some of the lower level people who weren't in the know, that weren't at a higher tier, were told to tell customers that they don't deal with the dinar. Some would even say it's a scam, or it's a terrorist currency, similar to what they said about the Iranian rial. By the way, they were instructed, but then a memo I heard came out from a separate conference call that I followed a couple years ago or whatever, was stating that a memo was released that the lower level branch managers, all the way down to the tellers, would start to find out. By the way, that it was legitimate, but I guess they couldn't, give that much information because the information was compartmentalized for those who were trying to gain understanding if the dinar, the Vietnam, this also includes the Vietnamese dong, is this real, Zimbabwe notes, which is like a separate type of transaction. And then it's the Indonesian rupiah, which is involved, the South Korean won. Some people don't hold these other currencies. Some people hold a mixture, and some people might just hold one. To each his own. That's something that people generally keep private. But I've known people who were involved when I first found out about it. So I just kind of want to go over the validity. I still get asked from time to time. I even had a consultation not too long ago, and they're good, legitimate questions that you all deserve to know, because I'm transparent. I think there needs to be proper checks and balances, accountability, because there's so much information that is secretive and private. It makes it hard for people to try to determine the validity behind is something real or not. And that affects a person's decision making, and causes apprehension, where a person can be less apprehensive to dive into something or take a chance if they think that there's a potential of a loss or something's a scam. So throughout the years, I've connected pieces from talking to different people from sources myself. Unlike some of the gurus that are more connected to people on the inside, I hear there's certain government officials, people in high positions of power who this information is privy to because it's compartmentalized, and I understand that. So that's how some of us at the lower level have tried to gather information in terms of validity, and there are websites out there that have given updates for years, such as Dinar Guru, DinarRecaps.com, Dinar Detectives, and there may be some others, but those are a few offhand that I can think of, other than particular top intel providers that maybe have websites of their own that have been involved in sharing information pertaining to this type of investment. So I'm going to read you guys' chat. I'll be back and forth with what I plan to do to kind of give you guys an idea in this video how the itinerary, how I'm going to go about going over. I'm going to read an update from a top intel provider. In case you guys are wondering, it's going to be Fleming. I'll also have a blog pulled up from which you guys can look up. It's public information from DinarRecaps.com that has different intel. And I pulled maybe a couple articles that I might just go over. I may not read the whole entire article, but just things that I find interesting. This is also a Q&A session as well. So like I said, once again, don't hesitate to ask questions. Also, get the likes up. Appreciate you guys just now jumping in, joining the video. I'm your host, John Dorsey at Dorsey's Resource. You can follow me on Facebook at Dorsey's Resource. I'm on Twitter, of course, at Dorsey's Resource. I'm on minds.com at Dorsey's Resource. And I'm also on Instagram. I'm on the gram not too often, Dorsey's Resource _2019. If you want to follow me, by the way. Also, I have a second YouTube channel as a backup, my backup channel. Not a lot of subscribers. I put some things over there randomly from time to time. That's my backup channel. So if you guys don't mind, you guys can shoot over there and subscribe if as well. If you like the content that I put out, let me know. But I also kind of have a public service announcement as I've been given some new information. And like I said, based on it was this previous event that I attended that I was part of, like I'm going to try to speak in code. I'm not going to try to refrain from saying the name. Sometimes I make a mistake and slip up sometimes I forget. But I hadn't been prying over there, but I want to make an announcement and say I don't have access to their cause. When I was contemplating on deciding to come back last year, there was a non-disclosure agreement at the time that I was not willing to sign when I saw a certain individual's name on there. Was a different type of agreement. And they said in order for me to, I guess, get information when they move things to have more security, I contemplated it at the time, by the way, because I'm already, public with YouTube, on social media, of course. And kind of like the sacrifice that they want me to make is they want me to shut down all my social media, by the way, because they're very strict. This particular group is very strict about privacy, which I understand. And there's a certain reason why some years ago I became public more so through YouTube, of course, because I feel harmed by what had occurred based from the previous event when promises had been made and they did not come through at the time. And it turned into false hopes and false dreams, by the way, and just got very frustrating. I can no longer deal with that mentally. As one, you have to progress forward. I try not to live in the past. I try to keep it moving and stay current, and also let you guys know I do make money. I've mentioned before, my channel is monetized and has been for a while. And YouTube in more recent years has enabled content creators, which myself, I am a content creator. Everyone that has a channel is considered a content creator. We make content based on whatever it may be. YouTube has enabled something called Super Chat, where subscribers of different people can donate to you. There's also people that have monetized in other ways. They call that, I'm trying to think, there's another term they use, optimize their capability. Some people sell t-shirts. Some people can even donate through Cash App or PayPal, which you guys are welcome to. If you like the content that I put out, I appreciate it, by the way. So just wanted to kind of give you guys an idea. I'm going to jump back in the chat section to acknowledge you guys, and then I'm going to get in the intel. Then I'll jump back to the chat to see if more of you all have jumped in. Once again, don't hesitate to thumbs up. Helps me rank higher in the search results. So don't forget to smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you can. Definitely, if you like the updates that I put out, YouTube should notify you. You can hit the notification bell in the lower right-hand corner of the video to receive new updates. Also have a backup channel as well in case, things happen over there. That's why I created that. So without further ado, to jump back into the chat, I see we got Gerald Jokes in the building, says, don't shut it down, brother. We need you. Appreciate you, Gerald, for the encouragement, the support. And I'll keep you posted on what I decide to do, by the way. That's why I'm doing this video. I had been contemplating, because like I said, when I was referring to that previous thing that I was part of, I didn't ask. I had just people tell me things, multiple sources, by the way. I'm not putting no one's name, putting no one out there, but for the safety, I would say, a concern of other people, by the way, I would be willing to shut the channel, everything down. I just felt I didn't want to vacillate back and forth. But if someone promises you something, you want that individual or those individuals to keep their promise. And this channel is monetized. So I have had it's a form of like passive income, not, I will say, a lot where it can replace my income from my job, because I still punching the clock. I'm actually on vacation this week, by the way. This is my last day, and I'm back on to my regular schedule starting tomorrow, Monday night, by the way, just to give you guys a heads up. So I still do punch the clock. So you're getting real journalism, real news, a real person that's not hiding behind a fake account, that's giving you legitimate information, in case you guys are wondering, by the way. So appreciate you guys, everyone who's chimed in, who subscribed, joined. Kudos to you. Gerald Joe says, oh, what's up, Andre? Serena Williams in the building says, God bless you. DR is the RV/reset connected with the Nasara/GCR. Yes, I do believe so. I shouldn't say believe, I know. I think I would say that it is definitely connected. They're joined at the hip, by the way. Andre Butler says, what's up, Gerald? Gerald Joe says, still can you purchase dong at some banks? I'm actually not sure about that. You would have to check, by the way, under the new COVID thing. You know, things have changed now with some banks. You have to set up an appointment to go inside, by the way, but you can also maybe call ahead of time, or they have 800 numbers. Banks in general, I would call and check. But there was opportunity for quite a while. I know a couple years ago they were, but I wouldn't be surprised. Andre Butler says Chase stopped selling the VND 8 months ago. Okay, wow, that's good intel. I wouldn't be surprised. You know, I no longer bank with them, but I was banking with them like about a couple years ago. I'm with a different institution now. By the way, whose name I won't say, but I am familiar. I was banking with Chase for quite a while, and I can confirm. I found out from listening to a conference call from an individual out west. I would say a top intel provider. I try to refrain from using the term gurus. Someone I refer to as an intel provider out west. From listening to his conference call from a number of years. He's done a lot of calls, by the way, and I found that information out when I went to 2 different branches, and I actually saw it with my own eyes. 2 different people go up to the front teller and order it while I was standing in line. They mentioned, I was surprised. I thought it would be a procedure where you would go to the side. This is before COVID hit, before when the banks were still doing like regular business operation, before you had to wear a mask or set up an appointment, by the way. So yes, I can confirm. Thank you for that information, Andre. Appreciate that. That's what we're all here for. There may be information that you guys know that I may not know. We help out each other. There's a saying, sword sharpens sword, by the way. You scratch my back, I scratch your back, by the way. So good, big shout out to you, Andre. Steve Stein says, good evening, Dorsey. Nice to catch a live video. Props to all the information you provide. Appreciate you joining, Steve. Thank you for the compliment. Edgar Rios says, at this point, who knows what's going to transpire or where will be the new administration and their changes? I'm still hoping for the best. Yes, and it is important, I think, that we do get Trump back in there. By the way, even in the previous video, someone had mentioned in the comment section, one of the previous videos, that it does actually matter because if the Biden and Harris administration, they will jack the taxes up tremendously. I believe Currency 365, you check his channel, he's been a supporter of mine. He's done videos explaining that. So it is Trump plays a critical part with the reset. He's more of our ally. By the way, he's been pushing behind the scenes from what I hear. But in my opinion, I think it won't happen until a lot of arrests occur. By the way, they've got to get, because I heard there was a call many years ago. Well, actually, I forget. I've got to try to find it. I mentioned it to you guys. It was called Thing 1 and Thing 2. There was a brother I was in contact locally who used to go to some private classes that I used to attend pertaining to redemption information or sovereignty. I don't use that term, sovereign citizen, but there was private meetings, and this older guy, I know he's married. I don't have any kids, but this is how people would share intel. He told me many years ago there was a website called midnightthinktank.com. I didn't really go there that much. I didn't know too much about it. And he said there was a call on there. It was called Thing 1 and Thing 2. I think they may have removed it when their site was still up. I don't think they're up anymore. I think their site is no longer active anymore. If they are still up, I'm not aware. So if you guys had that information, I haven't been to that website in years, but this older gentleman that I know, I won't say his name to protect his identity, but he told me about this website, and he said I should listen to that call. By the way, it's how I collected information throughout the years. So I ended up finding that particular conference call on a separate website when there used to be a lot of sites that were out there that would talk about the Nasara, the GCR, the global currency reset, the RV that stands for revaluation. And it's a very inside look I believe, in my humble opinion, what it appeared to be was were a couple individuals on this particular conference call from the private sector who were explaining what their plan was down the road for the RV, and that's where they had mentioned the changes dealing with the Federal Reserve and the Treasury. I heard earlier by another separate source that somehow the Federal Reserve has been absorbed under the Treasury. On this particular conference call many years ago, I might still have it. By the way, if I can find it, I might be able to upload it because it's only an audio anyway. It doesn't, there's nobody on there showing their faces, and they didn't give their real names, which I believe the reason why they were people who were real high up in the private sector, but they wanted people to know many years ago what this process involved. And Oki, the oil man, who's been an intel provider, some will call a guru. I heard he's been sick. He was up there in age some more recent years. He was actually on this particular call. He was like a guest on there, and he asked some very good questions to these people, I believe from the private sector. And they explained on this particular conference call what the plan was for the future. And I kind of see this playing out now. By the way, this is many years ago. It's almost like a decade ago that this call was around. I don't know the approximate exact date, but I believe it was somewhere around in between 2010 to 2011, somewhere around that time frame. And so I said approximately around a decade ago. Don't know the exact date when this call first aired, by the way, or what site it was on or brought forth, by the way. But I might have it. I have to check my backup drives to see. Like I said, to reiterate, if I can find it, I may be able to upload it for you guys to have just to kind of give you all an idea. Because at the same time, they want things when this is rolled out to be done in an orderly fashion. By the way, that's why they have intel providers put out information that's structured, by the way. But at the same time, there's certain things that are private that I even will refrain from going over certain intel, which I am going to read once I get finished with you guys' comments in the chat section, just to give you all an idea, by the way. So we have Edgar Rios says, okay, I read that comment already. Gerald Jilk says, there is a place in the UK that are still selling currency, by the way. Okay, different countries, different. Keep in mind, when people are in different countries, just like if you're in different states, how different states have different laws, keep in mind what one country does is different than the United States. So I can't speak on what Canada, what the UK, what Germany or Australia will do, because I was listening to an intel provider from some years ago, just to give you guys a heads up. And he said what happens in Iraq, it won't be like the same type of rate or the way it's going to happen for us, by the way, what he was explaining. Because you have to understand there's differences in exchange rates as well between different countries. So their time periods may be different. They're even on different time zones too. Some of them approximately like a half a day, almost a whole day. And even in other parts of the world, they go by a different calendar. Like in the eastern part of the world, the Chinese calendar is different. So keep in mind, the reset may happen in another country or may have already started where it hasn't happened in one country. Because I heard, even though the United States, by the way, some years back was one of the front runners in this, tied in with because of the Treasury, and that's all I'll kind of leave it at for the time being. I heard that the IMF, they were stalling it, and I have been hearing from some sources that the banks, the local banks, have been waiting for the reset code, the release codes. Actually, there's certain codes they have to have in order to be approved to do a currency exchange. By the way, I've heard from a source many years ago that he saw it show up on Forex one night. It was relayed to me. This gentleman, I had met the person before, was someone I know was closer to them, had relayed the information to me, and they saw it show up on Forex one night because I heard some people who were VIP, people that were on higher tiers, like you had tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, that's like in a caste system. People that are higher up in the hierarchy of the pecking order, they're privileged. So they're very important people And I hear governments around the world that are invested as well. They're on a higher tier system. So they're more privy to being able to exchange in advance or get access. So this individual was saying the way what he believes they did, and I heard this on a conference call, by the way, from a top intel provider, is that the VIP person exchanged late at night, and they strategically allow the codes to happen temporarily to hit because it's on a different bank screen too, and only certain administrators or people with the proper credentials real high up in the bank can access that to see that screen to see what those rates are. But the other screen they can't see. That's what some people refer to as the back screen, right? If you've been following the conference calls, if you've been staying abreast of what's been going on, because best believe, just like the military, you have high-ranking officers, officials, and when someone is at a higher rank, they may have more access or privilege than lower-ranking people. So what was relayed, it was believed to be that this person who was in the VIP that was allowed to exchange, they made it happen real late at night. By the way, then by the time the morning hit after the person exchanged, they froze it or hit it again. By the way, put it up back on the back screens, but they temporarily opened it up to allow that VIP person. They may have done this for multiple parties who were privileged, by the way, to be in this category, maybe potentates and diplomats, ambassadors, people on that level, by the way. Just my guess. So high net worth individuals that pretty much from a street level balling out of control. Basically, you guys get the drift. So I'm going to finish, get back to the chat. Then I'm going to read, just to let you guys know, I'm going to go to the notes and read the updates for you guys. And let you know what my opinion is, what I think, by the way. So Dr. Ed says, hello, brother. Greetings. I'm on deck. Appreciate you, Dr. Ed. Gerald Joke says, Edgar, that new corrupt administration will not make it. Dr. Ed says, what's your email address in case you shut down, by the way? My email address is listed in the description box. You can check the previous videos, but in case you don't have it, I can go over it. Once again, for serious inquiries only, it's the letter J, 279 Dorsey@gmail.com. The letter J is in John, the number 279 Dorsey, Delta, Operation Rescue Safety Emergency Yale @gmail.com. J279 Dorsey@gmail.com. By the way, that's for this channel. It's no longer at Dorsey's Resource 2017. That email, that inbox is clogged up. You know how Gmail only allows you so much space, so I have to clean that up. So that's why I switched over for my YouTube more recently, and that's where I do for bookings, consultations. That's where you'll still be able to reach me at afterwards. In case you're wondering, if I do shut down, I just finished an awesome consultation the other day. The person was very appreciative. I gave them high-powered information. By the way, and I list my basic prices, that the fees that I do charge. If you do want to reach me, and just another public service announcement, I had a subscriber who may not have gotten the new update I had to share with, by the way, because I no longer do freelance, assistance like I used to in the past, because I had gotten so many inquiries by different people. And I've helped out numerous people in the past. I've already went over this numerous times. You can check previous videos that I've done. So I had to let this person know on the text, even though they had my number already. I only spoke to one time, but that wouldn't be fair to the other people who have paid, by the way, to subscribe just to reach me, because that is taking time out of my busy schedule. And I do feel like time equals money, by the way. And I am at a certain level on this. By the way, there are people who are more advanced than myself. And I've given credit. I've thrown names out there. They haven't asked me. I haven't been paid by these individuals to put their names out there. But I have let it be known to some people who wanted to know. I share that with some people privately, by the way. But if you want to ask me a question about anything or an area of expertise that you feel that I have that you would like to know about, or whatever, or there's webinars that you like to have, I do charge for that. I gave an individual a discount, by the way, but I do charge $50 per half hour for consultation. For webinars that I have, I've already put in the work. By the way, they're $200 a piece. But I will look into. I can maybe give you a deal. By the way, just depends. You have to contact me just to find out what I have. I don't really solicit or advertise, but just I'm just letting it be known for those people who are serious. It will weed out the people who are serious from people who are just fishing for information, that's looking just to get free information. Because I've empowered people with even referring people to other people out there who are advanced, by the way, and I just was doing that for a number of years. And I had some friends, close friends, one friend that's moved out of state that has his own group that asked me at one time, that said, hey, you've given people a lot, now he said, I think you should have a donation link, Dorsey. This is what he said to me, so that's what I do from now on. Those are my new rules, by the way. It is for what it is. So I've explained that clearly, but I do appreciate you all that have donated. I am going to work on also people that have paid for private consultation, doing an exclusive webinar for you guys. By the way, that'll be like my giveaway, because you know how a lot of YouTube channels do giveaways and things like that. But my unique giveaway for people that have paid. So make sure, if you've ever sent me a Cash App, or if you've ever donated or paid the fees for private consultation, shoot me an email just to let me know, so I can put you on a list. So once I complete that webinar, that's probably gonna be on, called the Poor Man's Do Not Detain list, where I'm gonna go over things pertaining to redemption information, high power information that I don't normally discuss. It'll be definitely for you guys on the house, by the way, to show my appreciation, my giveaway to all those, so I can email all of you guys at the same time, by the way, to make it easier. So I'll forward the webinar, what I'll go over, cover some high power information. It'll be private. I won't have any live, won't be live or whatever, any other people on there, but just it'll be for educational purposes, exclusive video, but you guys will get it first, and it'll be high powered information. Probably something, if I was to start a Patreon account, I would list on there, by the way. I would not sure if it would be something that I would put upload on YouTube, but it will be my way of thank you to all those who subscribed. And I think you guys, will really like it, by the way. But I'm going to work on that. So just once again, that's a public service announcement. If you have given a donation, just showing love to the channel, appreciate you. If you even donated or pay fees for private consultation, make sure you send me an email so I can put you on the list to receive that webinar exclusively on the house when I work on that. I haven't worked on it yet, but that's in the making. So just to give you guys a heads up, by the way, for down the road, to show you my appreciation and my way of giving back to you guys. So I'm going to finish reading the chat. So appreciate you, Dr. Ed, in the chat section. Gerald says, Edgar, the new corrupt. Okay, I read that already. So yeah, Dr. Ed, hopefully that's my email address. You got it, j279dorsey@gmail.com. By the way, you should still be able to reach me there. By the way, Saint Knight says, agreed, no new administration, Trump will win. Yes, I still remain optimistic, but hopefully that will be the case. I'm in, for the most part, in agreements with you, Saint Knight. Things are going through litigation with that situation that's happened. And I said I was going to refrain from doing a video about that. Again, I did have some information I bookmarked, and more recent information. There was some bombshells like what happened in Georgia, where they caught the lady on camera. By the way, there's been a lot of evidence, but remember, because this has to be something, because this was a coordinated effort, and the people that premeditated this, the cabal people, the deep state bad guys who premeditated this plan to steal the election or whatever, they knew that it would have to go through court, jury trial, and it would generally take months for litigation. That's why Trump, he has a team of some of the best lawyers, and there's other things, legal maneuvers they can do to speed up the process. But there is evidence of fraud ahead of time. But the media, that's the reason why they're saying allegedly, because generally you would need, when things go through litigation or whatever. Sometimes people can't speak if they seal a case, or people are warned ahead of time if there's a pending case going on, pending lawsuit. Sometimes they can't speak on it. When you've seen press conferences, they'll say next question. So that's why the mainstream media, they're quick to say, call it a baseless conspiracy theory or say it's alleged. But we can clearly see there's numerous evidence from whistleblowers, not only poll watchers in multiple states, people that work for the post office, not only postal carriers, truck drivers, people that worked at the polls, even the more recent evidence with the cameras. Even I watched the press conferences with the guy that worked in formal warfare in the military. That guy who was in multiple states with Giuliani, he was a very powerful source, heavily credentialed, by the way, very powerful. These are like some real life James Bond movies. This reminds me of like a espionage dystopian movie, but it's actually real life though. So down the road, as things come about, transpire, dealing with updates with that situation, I may, that's if I'm still on YouTube, if I don't shut things down, by the way, because of some things that are transpiring, I will do an updated video. There's some information, and it will be pertaining to Dominion. There was a number of different ways that they used to cheat with this election. And like I say, once again, there is evidence in multiple states. There's evidence of voter fraud and election fraud. There's numerous whistleblowers. There's affidavits signed. And mind you, if you guys understand, I learned about affidavits. I was explaining to a friend who studied redemption education about dealing with the sovereign movement, that an unrebutted affidavit in commerce stands as true. A lot of times you have to get those documents notarized, by the way, by a notary public. And remember, a notary is an officer of the court. So when you get something notarized and you're making a testimony, a sworn oath, you're swearing under penalty of perjury. A guy that trained me years ago when I first got in the movement, he's this guy that I know, Del Rico, big shout out to him wherever he's at. By the way, he was married at the time when I first learned about this back in 2004 and 05 moving forward. I used to ask a lot of questions. And I know he had battled judges before he had been in the court. He had even been put on a local do not detain list. The brother was bad, phenomenal. And he helped share a lot of his skill sets and information with me to help me understand the redemption education some people call sovereign citizenry. I don't use that terminology, but it is real, by the way, if you know what you're doing. And he told me that affidavits look really good to a judge. He mentioned that to me numerous times years ago. Told me how you structure an affidavit, like you have affidavit of facts. You can use that part of an administrative process. So just to further emphasize, they cheated numerous different ways. There is evidence, actual genuine evidence as to material facts that voter fraud, election fraud did take place, did occur. And like I said, there's smoking gun evidence, no doubt. You can see from that recent video footage from that camera that was recording down in Georgia where they were pulling out ballots under the table, by the way. And I'll just leave it at that. There's constantly information that's evolving, by the way. But in my opinion, I don't think it's just alleged, that there's numerous evidence that are out there to point to that. But of course, the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, especially political mainstream media articles, they're going to continue to deny and just brush it off as a baseless conspiracy theory. And I believe that's inaccurate. That's disingenuous. It's not accurate reporting, by the way. It's fraudulent because they're pushing propaganda, and that's why some of them refer to them as fake news, by the way. So you guys said that pretty much, but I agree with you, Saint Knight. Thank you for the comment. Edgar Rios says, Gerald, I hope the corrupt don't get in. Yes, agree in agreements. Gerald Joke says, Edgar, I'm with you on that. Andre Butler says, I live in Houston and there's a currency exchange at a major mall down here. They have all currencies, including the dinar, even the black light, to prove the authenticity. Okay, that's good intel. By the way, there's a lady that I helped, and the reason I'll mention her name just for this time, just to show validity. Back then, I wish I had private consultation set up. I didn't at the time, so she was one of the ones that got this information for free. By the name. Her name, I believe, was Juanita I don't remember her last name. I don't have my phone with me. It's in my phone. I still have it in there. She worked for the government down in DC. By the way, she was like, high up. I forget her clearance level, like 14, 15, something like that. GS 14, 15 employee. And she informed me when I told her and given advice to prove the validity behind this in type of investment exchange is that I would look for currency brick and mortar locations that sold it, because I had heard about airports, and she told me it was a mall in her area very similar to the intel that you just gave, Andre. And that's what she told me. She confirmed to me. She picked some up because she was actually buying it online and out of state, by the way. She didn't even know how to check the local place in her area. And I noticed this particular guru from this conference call I listened to, I'll say TNT. I don't know if he knew her or had some people that did, maybe through his brother Ray Rand, said he didn't know at the time. I heard him mention on a private conference call, like after I had given that information to her, that he had found out that you were able to purchase foreign currency at some of these brick and mortar currency exchange locations. By the way, see, I normally didn't mention that in the past, but I'm just giving you guys some jewels just for you all to do your own research. It's why I give a disclaimer, and I always encourage you guys to do your own homework. Don't take my word for what I'm saying to be fact, but please do your own research, and you will find the validity in what I'm saying. By the way. Jojo says, Andre in the Galleria. Okay, he's asking the question. Renuvian says, an affidavit is proof of truth, by the way. Yes, you are correct. Thank you for that confirmation. Daniel Joseph says, are you a secured party? Good question. Yes, I would say there's a different way of saying it, and there's different processes. If I know that question pertains to redemption education, as I call it, by the way. And there's some people call it status correction, by the way. But yeah, there's I could say that definitely, and that actually is in the paperwork college class called Business and Law. And even if you look at the UCC paperwork, by the way, if you read the instructions for financing statements, they do talk about secured parties and speaking that type of language. So that is something that is not conspiratorial, because you have this gatekeeper out here in particular that tries to make the information that pertains to that, to make everybody that studies that type of information to seem like a conspiracy theorist or crazy, when I had proven that there was 3 topics in this class. This is an older version back from the 70s of business and law. Some classes may be called just business and law. It may not have the full title, but I proved that the validity UCC financing statements are real. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's not spookism. It's just a matter. A lot of this stuff, redemption-wise, pertains to the legal system. And this was an older book. There's updated books, PDF files you can pull up. But I went over, there were 3 different chapters that dealt with things that were related to redemption education, and some people call sovereignty, by the way. That some of the chapters, one of them was called commercial paper, that dealt with negotiable instruments. There was another chapter that stayed the same, even in more recent updated books that I've checked, that's been written by very astute people with collegiate degrees. By the way, when you look up the authors and who these books are written by, legitimate people, so they can't just dismiss this as a conspiracy theory. These are credible information you can look up, by the way, if you know what to look for. And there was a chapter called Secure Transactions that dealt with UCC financing statements, by the way. There was also another chapter that's called Intellectual Property that deals with in relation to DBAs, copyrights, trademarks, things related to that field, by the way. So you see, I've proven 3 different subjects that's related to so-called sovereign citizen stuff. So stop listening. Some of these gatekeepers are villains, and they don't want you waking up. They want to keep you dumbed down and brainwashed. They want to keep you in the dark, by the way. So just know I show you guys evidence, books. I do my research. I've done my homework already. Plus, I've studied in this movement going back to 2004, so I can provide valid information. And if you decide to pay even for private consultation, I can go even more in depth, and I can send templates and things, even webinars, to prove the validity behind things that I know that have worked, etc. By the way, just like Mythbusters does, I can bust the myths on a lot of the rumors out there that are incorrect or inaccurate, because real facts matter. Facts should matter, and I give you accurate information here at Dorsey's Resource compared to the other gatekeepers that sometimes calls everyone a sovereign citizen or refers to people as that. By the way, you're going to get accurate information over here, by the way. So just keep that in mind. Just saying. So I'm going to get ready to read because the title of this video was actually pertaining to an update dealing with the Dinar RV/GCR. The question was, is the reset close or is it delayed again? The question, this is also Q&A. So I went over how I did have direct confirmation from a source that it did show up on Forex late one night some years ago. Shortly after this, I had heard on a conference call, a lead moderator discussed this, and prior to how he mentioned this had happened before, and I heard allegedly for VIP people who had deep pockets of political power, etc., were in this category, by the way. Well, pulled up another window. Okay, here. Okay, so just to give you guys a heads up, before I jump back to the chat section, I'm going to read some of the updates that I got. So this is let's go here to the latest one, the latest update. Okay, this is from saying the date is 12/5, December 5th. Says our military contact is confirming Mr. Fleming's sources, and specifically the bond end buyer source below, whose info matches his current info. He says, stay ready as it is really going to start. He says this coming week, as Mr. Fleming and many other sources are hearing, because POTUS and the White Hats and the DOD are now in place to stop all the swamp deep state blocking the RV release. The war in which the deep state swamp has fought the POTUS, as stands for President of the United States, as he has been trying to get the RV shotgun start out, is demonstrated by Pelosi's statement yesterday, Friday, 12/4. Pelosi said she and congressional Dems intentionally blocked the stimulus bill funds for millions of working class Americans suffering under the deep state scandemic lockdowns ongoing still today through Christmas in certain states, because she and other swamp creatures both bribed Dems and bribed Rhino Republicans that did not want Trump to get credit for it, for the stimulus. He said that's why they were blocking the stimulus funds, which has a connection to the RV being rolled out on the side. I guess some of the money, the funds, the funding sources that's tied in with this, there is a connection with that, by the way, in case you're wondering, from this update that I'm reading, by the way. It said included deep state Dem actions that repeatedly blocked the RV release too, because both funds come out of tier 1 accounts. And it said just like Obama had blocked the RV deep state 24 times over 8 years, the source that I'm reading from is saying, by the way. He said this statement from Pelosi yesterday, Friday, 12/4, at the following link illustrates that the deep state do not want the RV to happen, but fortunately their blocks have been defeated largely by the Department of Defense and SOF actions, putting pressure on all the ranks of the deep state swamp creatures in DC. By the way, I'm not sure what the SOF stands for, by the way, in case you guys are wondering from what I'm reading from. So we'll go on to the next part. Okay, and that's why I just went over it. They explained why Pelosi blocked the COVID relief bill, because there is some type of connection to the rollout of that simultaneously with the RV, because I've heard they want a distraction when the RV/GCR rolls out, by the way, and they are using COVID as a cover too, by the way. Said so that's the information I went over. It's kind of reiterated that information. I've skipped that paragraph. Says, meanwhile, he says certain government bureaucrats who shall remain nameless are going around still spouting the fake stream media's lying mantra that there is no evidence of election fraud, which I just covered not too long ago in this video. By the way, he said that they're making erroneous claims is like standing a few blocks away from the wreckage and fiberglass of the dust-fallen Twin Towers on 9/11/2001 as the famous dust lady Marcy Borders walked by covered in dust. She was a Bank of America legal assistant that had survived the collapse of the World Trade Center, then saying to her with the tone of incredulity, no sign of terrorism here, Miss Marcy. They're kind of hypothetically, drawing a comparison in terms like metaphorically analogy compared to how they're saying these news agencies are saying there's no evidence. So I'm just reading, they're drawing a comparison there, by the way. So you guys get the drift with that. They were comparing it to the events that took place in 9/11 as though saying that was no clear wreckage, and you could clearly see that there was, by the way. It's like a form of gaslighting tactics that's being used. So I'll read the next paragraph. It says, at the same time, the mountains of evidence of election fraud stealing the election for Biden keep growing and are so obvious that it is laughable that the mainstream media keeps refusing to cover it. He said, I even heard recently today that they're trying to find ways to make excuses for the video footage that was came out in Georgia, by the way, when they didn't know the people that were pulling ballots from under the table, thousands of ballots, I may say, of course. And this same similar thing happened back in 2018, by the way, when Andrew Gillum was going against an opponent, and they pulled out real late at night. A lady had filmed a truck coming in real late at night that had ballots on there, by the way. And that's where you saw the protests, Matt Gaetz, I guess, down in that area, people protesting and stuff, similar things. So it's not a coincidence. And all of these major states that had this, they all simultaneously stopped counting, by the way, suspect on election night. I don't find that to be a coincidence that they all just stopped counting. Then magically we wake up the next day and we have thousands of ballots that go towards Biden in Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Georgia, all these states that simultaneously stopped. The only one that Trump just inched out barely was North Carolina. They were trying to steal that state too. Even other states that he won, there was still numerous fraud. There was even fraud that came out before. There was also, in case you guys are not aware, there was a story of a postal worker in Buffalo, New York. This is a real story. I found out, I didn't know originally. When I heard about the story, he was a black guy. He was caught over in Canada. You know, sometimes because we're a border city in Detroit, we had Windsor, Canada, right across the border. I used to go over there years ago with different guys. We used to go to the club, the bars, stuff like that. And they'll search you randomly sometimes. So I heard that this postal worker was searched, and I have a private contact told me separately, confirmed. So a young person that I met told me, so I didn't know this. I had people give me intel, told me there were Trump ballots, and then the postal worker was making an excuse saying he was going to deliver them, but they were in his personal possession, and they found them in his trunk, by the way. And they found out he was a postal worker. He was fired, terminated, and I think immediately there was an article. I don't know the guy's name, but he's facing serious jail time. May have been booked, arrested already. They did that right away. So that's other indications of things, fraud, election fraud that was going on, that the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, are refusing to report on the evidence, by the way. So just to give you guys a heads up, that's what this article that I was reading from, but I'm just going over, that was a separate report, because there's many different ways that they use to, cheat, by the way. So in reading, it says, this is laughable that the media is refusing to cover this. They said that even someone with a third grader IQ could figure out, with apologies to all third graders, they're comparing them to low IQ deep state lackeys. The news of mounting evidence is continuing to constantly evolve and come out of widespread voter fraud is only being covered by honest news networks such as OWN, Newsmax, Epoch Times, and it says a few others. I would add on NTD. A friend of mine put me up on them. They have a YouTube channel, and I would say Right Side Broadcasting has been doing a good job covering this as well. And Breitbart News, they have a YouTube channel as well, by the way. And Fox still, despite some of the mischief that they have been involved in, still overall has been have some good reporting going on that has been reporting some of the updates that are evolving, by the way, in comparison to Politico, CNN, MSNBC, some of the others who have not been accurately presenting information, and they've been fabricating info as well. And there's other ongoing investigations happening in the meantime that's not getting covered as much by those networks that I mentioned too, by the way. So we do have facts, you know, and you have a real person such as myself, not hiding behind a fake account or nothing like that. You're getting real information, true journalism, by the way. So once again, it says, number one, it says hundreds of affidavits, people that will testify under oath of massive vote, ballot, and digital fraud across multiple states. Ballots illegally that cross state lines. I forgot about that. There was a truck driver who came out as a whistleblower. Someone else, he worked, I guess, in a different division connected to the post office. So this is separate from postal workers that had came out, had mentioned how they were told to backdate ballots. So they mentioned you had ballots illegally crossing state lines with trucks, ballot backdating, digital manipulation. It was a number of things they found in Cobb County, Georgia. By the way, some people had footage of Trump ballots being shredded down there. By the way, there's been many whistleblowers, numerous people come out, and it continues to grow. They said they couldn't even keep up. By the way, when you listen to Sidney Powell, the many whistleblowers and Giuliani previously, with the information that's been evolving of the many whistleblowers that were coming out. So I guess this stuff is tied in because the bad guys have been responsible for this connection, this holdup of the RV, by the way, the cabal people. And they've been involved in these types of activities. That's why this update pertaining to the Dinar is going over this type of information. I'm going to go to a different site. I'm going to read some of the intel, the updates over there, by the way. So scrolling through, I'm going to skip this section. So I read that already. That's just a rehash of kind of what I mentioned, the testimony from whistleblowers that alleged ballot illegally crossed state lines. There was testimony that provided powerful eyewitness accounts on a massive scale. There's also a cybersecurity expert. I did see that guy. He was former military, by the way. He testified in multiple states, Pennsylvania election hearings, that voting machines are built to be manipulated. Not only Dominion, but Smartmatic as well. That had similar schematics, he explained. And you even had the mathematician, Dr. Shiva, come out, and other experts who testified about statistical evidence of voter fraud. So this is numerous from different angles, no matter how you cut it or slice it, if you're clearly being nonpartisan, by the way. And I'm just reporting this information from this website, by the way. It says I would have never certified. It says says the voter fraud to Arizona legislature suspended from Twitter. Says I would have never certified the election results in some battleground states. I'd rather resign than certify those results, he said, adding, I believe they're fraudulent. So it's okay. It says mathematician and data expert Bobby Pitton, he was the one, I guess, who testified, who said this previously. I didn't know that. So I'm just reading from this intel update. And there's an article, I guess this may be from the Epoch Times, about a mathematician claimed voter fraud to Arizona legislature suspended from Twitter. It says 12-3 mounting evidence of election fraud, hundreds of thousands fraudulently added ballots. Arizona, 300,000 in Arizona, 548,000 in Michigan. They also cheated in lower level races, like with Senator John James and Gary Peters, and even some of the House races in Michigan, as well as other states, by the way. It says 204,000 in Georgia, 121,000 in Pennsylvania. Phil Klein, whistleblowers reveal USPS allegedly responsible for tampering with hundreds of thousands of ballots, by the way. This is additional info. Wow. So I'm going to jump down, scroll ahead. So this stuff is, I'm going to jump back to the Dinar information. That other information was mainly talking about, I guess, stuff pertaining to the voter thing. In this video, I want to try to stay on topic, by the way. But this was within the intel notes, just so you guys know, from Fleming, from one of his updates from their sources. Very good info, by the way. I may go back and read myself with some of the information I didn't know. Personally, I haven't read this yet. So back to the information pertaining to the RV. It says, this was from Saturday, the 5th December, says our guy confirmed this info from a bond-in buyer involved at the top levels, oversees a bond liquidity release when shotgun start happens as Tier 4B 800 number notifications go out. This is to inform you that the historical asset operations are finally going to commence for next week. Many of you have been frustrated and discouraged. This is all going to end shortly. They're claiming the claim that will be delayed to January 2021 is completely false, just as is the information that things have started already, which is also incorrect. We won't know as far as that, if there's going to be any more delays. That's why I put the title in this video. Is the title of this video, Dinar RV / GCR update, is the reset close or will this be delayed again? So I remain skeptical about it, by the way, just to give you guys a heads up. So I'm going to jump back in the chat section real quick to acknowledge you guys who just jumped in and joined, by the way, or comments I haven't got to yet. Andre Butler says Memorial City Mall. Andre Butler says Gerald, okay. Daniel Joseph says, okay, understand. Daniel Joseph says, I just received my UCC. Okay, Daniel Joseph says, I know it's true. Gerald Jokes in the chat says, really, I would have thought the Galleria. Okay, he's having a conversation about the foreign currency. This is within, so Daniel, you are saying in so many words, get an LLC before this all happens. Okay, I'll skip over that. Daniel Joseph says, I wouldn't say it like that, but yes, ASAP. Memorial City has a large variety of foreigners that frequently visit, and they're always exchanging their currency for USD. Good info. Thank you for that, Andre. You know, it's helping out other people in the chat, by the way. Sometimes you guys are advanced yourself. So salute to you. Gerald Joke says, salute Daniel. Salute Daniel Joseph says, salute Gerald. Daniel Joseph says, Trump is about to drop the hammer. Watch what happens on or around Christmas. People won't believe it. Remember, I told you first. Okay, well, we'll wait and see. I hear from another YouTube channel I follow, a guy down in out of Tampa, Florida, puts out really good information, has some woo friends, by the way, that I've seen some of the information that his sources have put out have come to pass, has been accurate, by the way. So I'm optimistic. We'll wait and see. That's why I said I was holding off on doing a video specifically pertaining to the election stuff as more information rolls out, by the way. I do have an article that pertains, I would just say, pertains to Dominion. And I told some people that I know personally about it, by the way, that, let's just say, involves some people, and I'll just kind of leave it high up and saying governments, and I'll just leave it at that, by the way. Gerald says, Andre, we have exchanges here in Canada, but they stopped right before COVID. Gerald says, yes, Daniels, I got my popcorn. Says, yes, get yours ready. This will be one for the books. Sonia Johnson says, hello, Dorsey. Thank you for joining, Sonia. Appreciate you. Christy Isaac says, there's those eyes. Thank you, Christy. Is that a compliment? Andre Butler says, the fact that Trump said that all currencies need to be on an equal playing field is evidence that the reset is real, by the way. Okay. I've heard that before. Gerald Jilk says, Dorsey, there's over 100,000 indictments according to that military lawyer. Yes, I did hear that there was still, I guess, the sealed indictments, I guess, are still on the table. By the way, I've heard that for quite some time. By the way, that there's going to be sealed indictments, or they have to be unsealed eventually. by the way. And they are having other hearings. I kind of alluded to that briefly earlier, that the some of the mainstream media has not been covering, by the way. I'll just let it, things play out. By the way, that's kind of connected to that statement that Andre made about Gerald made about the indictments. Celeste says, true, Andre, and he gave RV analogy months ago, afraid he will not press go button. Okay, Andre says, when it all happens, it will be during chaos and anarchy in the streets. Interesting. We'll see. Gerald Joke says, hey, Dorsey, which is the best currency to hold, Dinar, Rupiah, or Dong? I don't really answer that question. I don't think there really is. I could give my opinion, but obviously go with the one. There's a reason, if you study the history behind the reset, which one is generally the main currency. Think about which currency is in the title of the video. By the way, did you invest? Did you do the research in the country and the currency itself? Did you order? They have currency books out there, by the way. There was a PDF file that was a world currency book where you could look at all the currencies from around the world. By the way, this is free information. People use their mind to think and brainstorm. By the way, you can figure things out. By the way, just saying, I don't give, that's why I give a disclaimer. It's not legal advice, but just think about the big corporations that have invested in these countries, major corporations such as Pepsi, Coca-Cola. Why do they have corporations over there? Think about why is McDonald's in other countries, by the way. Think about what do the resources that these other countries have, such as oil or Zimbabwe or minerals and things of that sort. By the way, these are things to think about. So that's up to every individual to what they decide to do. I don't get into people's personal business prying because we already have enough control by the cabal people that don't have our best interest at heart, that I think want people to sign NDAs, hush agreements, and things of that sort. I do get it, but I think they're reaching a little bit too far with many things. By the way, people should not be made to feel belittled or certain way because they do something different or hold a certain currency or operate a certain way. They shouldn't be belittled or made to feel, a certain type of way, if you know what I mean. If you read between the lines, that's why I don't get into some of those personal questions. But it's still a good question. Andre Butler says Dong gives you more for less. Vietnam economy is booming. They're little China. No reason for the currency to be so low. Obvious manipulation. Okay, thank you, Andre. But to each his own. I don't really get into that because I won't know, just like you guys, until it goes live or hits Forex or the new FX market, whatever they call it now, the international exchange, the market rate, just like you have for precious metals, by the way, which is set by like the London bullion market. So we won't know what the actual rates are, but I was informed you want to stay away from rates and dates. By the way, they really wanted this to roll out as like a surprise or whatever. So I wouldn't even worry about that, but just, do your own research. And then I think you can come up with a good conclusion, by the way. But if you have, may depend if you have deep pockets. Some people are balling out of control and have very deep pockets. So it may not be, as much of a concern. Some people are trying to maximize their earning potential, but I couldn't really tell you that because then that would get into financial advice, which would be like playing the futures market or stock market. Be like guessing, is this stock going to shoot up or go up or not? It's a good question, but it's still skepticism, by the way. So I try to stick to solid, grounded information, and I'm just reading the updates. So now, keep in mind, I do appreciate you guys joining. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't, smashed the like button. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe at Dorsey's Resource. You can follow me on Twitter at Dorsey's Resource. I'm obviously on Facebook at Dorsey's Resource. Make sure you hit the notification bell in the lower right-hand section so YouTube will notify you when I put out new updates, by the way. So before I wrap things up, I'm going to read from some notes from dinarrecaps.com, and then I'll jump back in the chat section. Keep in mind, this is Q&A, so if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to chime in. Any questions, statements, or concerns, just jump right in. I'll get back to you guys once I get back to the chat. So now I'm getting ready to head over to read the updates from dinarrecaps.com. Here's some information pertaining to the Zimbabwe. This was from November 29th, 2020. It says, after decades of debilitating sanctions, it says Zimbabwe is set for a reset. People the world over are registering by the millions for a humanitarian program that is guaranteed to shift the poor into a new wealth status and put power into their hands to maintain it. The People, a trust organization, has launched, says HIPP, Humanitarian Intervention Prosperity Plan, that will credit all adults who register with 100,000 spending power via the World Economic Reset app. Says Reset is an online digital wallet app. Though account holders may initially be limited to 1,000 unit spending per month, the deposited 100,000 unit credits is an immediate economic status changer. It's saying United Human Capital and a consumer-owned market guarantees an eternal will flow. Once underwritten with enough resources to jumpstart a local self-sustaining system, this economic engine of the people will drive itself. The financial underwriting is in place, and fuel from producers such as Venezuela are awaiting the united will of the people, which is the ultimate social political power of all nations. It says, for example, if the people of Zimbabwe unite into one entity with common economic interests of alleviating the current situation, then that entity can then demand that fuel is imported and distributed by them for collective benefit instead of benefit only to a few highly connected individuals. Says the same goes for mining resources. The responsibility is on the people of Zimbabwe to work together, not to select a political party for deliverance, but exercise humanitarian intervention and deliver themselves with simple unity and trust. This plan is being introduced to Zimbabwe via a trustee of the people, Ramzu Yunus, who introduced similar elements of this plan that was accepted by the late President Robert Mugabe, but stifled by certain parties he refuses to mention. This further goes on to state, furthermore, we have spoken months ago to and await from the current president, Emerson Mnangagwa, about plans of immediate alleviation of the fuel situation and other economic benefits, says Yunus, who continues to imagine the people actually controlling and directly benefiting from the resources in a country as small but as wealthy as Zimbabwe. Everyone will literally be millionaires. Says Ramzu Yunus thinks citizens of Zimbabwe will definitely join this win-win opportunity in which massive population is needed because of the inherent political power of the people to exercise this economic humanitarian intervention. Says it's just registering for a free account with nothing at risk to lose besides poverty. This confidence comes from a man who moved from America to Zimbabwe and lost millions due to hyperinflation while trying to play a part in defeating human rights violations on Zimbabwe via the United States illegal sanctions. To put it simple, the people unite, take lawful control of the market and natural resources, while such unity is leveraged to underwrite the financing of their reset. Interest groups and communities with farms and mining concerns needing investment in Zimbabwe should get involved immediately. This is saying, I guess this is part of some humanitarian group. This is dealing with pertaining to the Zim. By the way, there's some more articles I'm going to read. The other one is going to be from the, let's see, what's the name? Restored Republic. I was looking at the X22 report By the way, let me see if this says, this looks like, is this another article? This is pertaining to the reset. Okay, I kind of went over this information earlier from the Fleming update. Is very similar. So I'm going to read the Restored Republic update. By the way, just so you guys know, just to give you a heads up, once again, I want to thank you for joining Dorsey's Resource. I'm your host, John Dorsey. Don't forget to smash the thumbs up button. By the way, it helps me rank higher in the search results. I appreciate each and every one of you for your time continuing to watch this channel. Don't forget, if you haven't done so already, to subscribe, hit the notification bell. By the way, I'm going to read this one last update from the Restored Republic pertaining to the Dinar, the GCR. Is it close? We'll see. I think it is. Things are getting closer, by the way, but there's no telling if we're going to get more delays. Then after that, I'm going to get back to the chat section. So keep in mind, just to give you guys a heads up in advance, if you have any questions or concerns, this is the best time to reach me. This is like almost in a way a free consultation, Q&A, so don't hesitate to jump in. Any statements, questions, or concerns, I'm going to lastly read this Restored Republic update. Then I'm going to jump back to the chat section before I wrap things up for this video. So just to give you guys a heads up, whatever's on your mind, any questions you guys have, any comments or concerns, don't hesitate. Once again, just jump right in the chat section and go right at it, and I'll get back to you. So reading this last update, this is from Restored Republic via GCR rumors pertaining to the global currency reset. This says, Judy note as of, this is compiled Sunday, December 6th from 12:01 a.m. Eastern by Judy Byton. It says, Judy note as of 9 p.m. Eastern on Friday, December 4th, major tranches of funds have been released from bond transactions and SKR, that's safe, that stands for, that's an acronym for safekeeping receipts fulfillment, and were filling tier 3 through 4A accounts globally. As of that very same 9 p.m. Eastern, Friday, December 4th, special op forces reached a major threshold in arrests across the country. The RV was a key tool to take down the deep state globally. Special op forces missions were arresting those Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and other Soros-paid anarchist leaders who continue to cause violence as RV exchanges began. By the way, that Joint Special Operations Command, that's JSOC, would need through Sunday, December 6th to get those major deep state swamp leaders detained. By the way, I did hear that some guy was an activist, by the way, that was connected to some other faction of the new Black Panther Party was arrested. By the way, he's facing 20 years in federal prison, by the way. And I thought I saw about a previous update, I read about some arrests happening. So those that don't think that these updates that I'm going over are legitimate, or, you know, have some skepticism, I read a previous update prior to that arrest I found out that happened the other day. And I said, it's very interesting how this stuff is like kind of seems like it's tied in, by the way. Just giving my 2 cents, my way in from the notes that I'm reading. So to continue finishing reading up, it says the goal was still a Tuesday, December 8th start date for Tier 4B, which time Tier 3 through 4A and SKRs would become liquid, by the way. It says POTUS started the process of a Restored Republic 2 months ago, and on November 2nd, 2020, signed in Nassar with an executive order. Trump has until Monday, December 21st to finish the process. It says Tier 4B would finish exchanging the next day on Tuesday, December 22nd, while the general public would be able to exchange at the international rates, by the way, whenever that occurs. It didn't give a date for that in this particular article I'm reading from. By the way, I just say hypothetically, this is the plan. Things are always constantly evolving. That's why I did put in the description box of this video, this title, will it be delayed again? I don't know. Just giving you guys a heads up. This is why it's important to try to also stay abreast of updates. I'm reading from dinarrecaps.com. This is from restored republics. I read Fleming's update earlier. Now this section is saying, coming from Saturday, December 5th from 11:40 a.m. Eastern, says Fleming's military intel contact says about 9 p.m. Eastern, Friday, December 4th, under Joint Special Operations Command, that's JSOC, Special Op Forces reached a major threshold. Okay, I read that already. JSOC would need through Sunday, December 6th to get enough deep state swamp leaders detained. The JSOC was under control of the new Secretary of Defense, Chris Miller, along with other new Department of Defense white hats, Kash Patel, Ezra Cohen Watnick, who were all pro-RV, pro-Trump, and pro-We the People, by the way. That's why I said earlier, Trump is your ally when it comes to this reset, by the way. That's why I felt at the same time this is still political, because if Biden was to get in and Kamala, they would tax the heck out of this. And they've already pre-planned things where they took the taxes out ahead of time, but people could add more tax implications when they were talking about exchanging it into other foreign currencies. You know, you're adding other potential tax liabilities to yourself. When people were discussing those things, those were separate. But I heard for the sake of exchanges, when it hit public, they already took out a certain percentage, a certain amount automatically, the way this was set up. By the way, I don't really cover that because this is not, I do give a disclaimer, this is not legal or financial advice. In the event you need to do so, it's encouraged please seek a competent professional in doing so. So I was reading the notes right there and finishing up. I'm going to get back to the chat in a little bit once I'm finished reading this particular update. So Trump, it says, has already reelected by a majority of real non-fraudulent votes. As such, would protect us and RV funds post RV Plus, would implement Nasara and GCR fully after our exchanges have completed by Christmas. As of 9 p.m. Eastern, Friday, December 4, major tranches of funds were released and filling tier 3 through 4A accounts globally from bond transactions and SKR fulfillment. SKR is, once again, it's an acronym for safekeeping receipts, by the way. So just to give you guys an idea of that, it says these funds would not be accessible until we and tier 4B started next week, by the way. And that's part of why when they say it's supposed to be a shotgun release, that's where you kind of get that from. You know, but it's still pecking order with the dominoes are going to fall in a particular order from VIP to trickle down to the rest of the people. Says we were winning this war and the deep state blocks were being removed. I went over that earlier just to reemphasize. I think some of this is still important to go over again for newbies that's just now joining in this video. Says the RV was still a key tool to take down the deep state globally, and prayers would be appreciated that this is done ASAP, by the way. So let me see. It looks like we're almost finished with this. Says this is another section that says over 1,000 Chinese researchers have fled America amidst an ongoing crackdown against communist regimes' underhanded statecraft. I heard that they had discovered that there were spies over here, by the way, not too long ago. That was reported on. Says even better for our national security interests, these researchers are believed to be affiliated with the People's Liberation Army. The most recent exodus of the Chinese nationals comes after the U.S. Justice Department opened criminal cases against some of the foreign agents, according to Sky News. The cases reportedly revolve around espionage against America's industrial and technological secrets. The pressure against China has been slowly increased by President Donald Trump and has only accelerated as the Asian powerhouses lies through the world into a devastating pandemic. As recent as November 2nd, the Trump administration added more restrictions to the growing crackdown against the Communist Party of China and its agents abroad, according to DOJ Department of Justice National Security Division Chief John Dimmers. China is the only country with the resources and ability and will to operate an espionage campaign on this scale. This is from what this is saying. The communist regime's operations have infiltrated academia and journalism as well, creating a prime environment for pro-China propaganda. Even our military officer corps has seen its own service members compromised by the People's Republic, with one Navy officer busted last year for smuggling flash drives and hardware to China. This is saying. It says, there are also worries that foreign actors are not only here to steal our secrets, but to influence the very people leading America. We've also seen an uptick, which was planned, and we predicted that China would now revector their influence campaigns to the Joe Biden administration. Director of the United States Counterintelligence and Security Center, Bill Vanina, warned at a cybersecurity summit. While Trump's aggressive crackdown on China's antics seems to be driving many of the apparent foreign agents away, a change in administration could signal a reversal of the trend, from what this is saying. This is saying from December 5th, Operation Disclosure, Military Sting Operation, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA reference. The CCP's involvement, that's the Communist Chinese Party's involvement in the U.S. election, evidence of foreign interference exposing the deep state, what's expected after the U.S. election. Section E says election fraud violates Insurrection Act, martial law, the only way, saying I was hearing rumors about that. I don't know if that's going to occur or take place, just in my opinion, in journalism and reporting, sharing the information to you guys. By the way, says Biden's reset will strip Americans of freedom and money. That's if he gets into power. By the way, says keep it quiet on Thursday evening, October 22nd. A new communications system monitoring of social media posts, emails, text messages, Discord DMs, phone conversations, etc., became effective through the NSA, National Security Agency, and Military Intel Defense Intelligence Agency. That's what DIA stands for. It's in parentheses. After you digitally sign a non-disclosure agreement to obtain a exchange/redemption appointment, and then another NDA at your appointment, you will be legally obligated not to discuss or write anything about the global currency reset, redemption, exchange, revaluation, currency exchange rates, dinar, dong, zim, etc., and quantum financial system QFS for at least 90 days or whatever time period was on your NDAs. To do so would break conditions of those NDAs, and all of your monies would be frozen. By the way, it says, please okay, this is something else. I'll skip over. Well, I may not, but that's interesting. I would say, in my opinion, that they've changed their plans. If they're, I guess, when the RV hits the international market, which should be at the banks when you'll be able to exchange for the general public. But I myself would prefer not to sign an NDA. I'm not looking for no special contract rate tiers or whatever. I think that's a way to to blackmail people, just in my opinion. But if they are forcing that requirement for even just regular holders who don't plan on doing any humanitarian projects, then they've changed their game plan, by the way. And that's kind of like a gray area, because that would be something you wouldn't find out until you would go exchange, by the way. But very interesting. Just to let you guys know, I'm going to get back before I wrap up. After I'm finished reading this update that's pertaining to the Dinar, I'm reading from Dinar Recaps that has a plethora of different intel providers from that site. It's like a collection of different intel providers, by the way. So just to give you guys a heads up, I'm going to get back and then wrap things up from there. And if you guys have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate now to chime in, jump in the chat section, by the way. So to get back, I may address some other things for a public service announcement too, by the way. See, is that the section I was reading from? This says, please report. This section says, please report suspected satanic activities to your local law enforcement, since Satanists were known to infiltrate police departments. Cover your tracks by contacting U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, ICE. It says they have called the National Human Trafficking Hotline at 1-888-373-7888 and contact the Federal Human Trafficking website. It's going over. This is part of the updates because this is another ongoing operation. This is in the Dinar recaps. This is on their website within the updated information because this how this ties into other stuff dealing with human trafficking. It says, if you wish to join the effort in saving children from international sex trafficking, contact Tim Ballard at Operation Underground Railroad and or the nonprofit Saving Innocence. And then it has a website on here. I won't go over that. I could place what I could do is place what I'm reading from in the description box of the video, so you guys can see, you guys can cross-reference and see what I'm reading from. By the way, put that in there for you guys in case you're wondering what I'm reading from. By the way, so to scroll down some more, this section is saying it's going over saying it's all about the children. And this is talking about, it's not about the money, it's about the children, the thousands of malnourished and traumatized children. It says the first official act President Trump made the morning before he was sworn into office was to pay a visit to CIA headquarters and declare a war on an international child sex trafficking ring run by global elites. It says, let us fast and pray for these little ones who were now being rescued from the cabal underground tunnels across the globe and tortured and killed by satanic covens right next door. It says, let us pray for those military troops worldwide who are risking their own lives to save them. It says the ancient doctrine of fasting and praying was explained here, by the way. Okay, that's a link. Says Judy note, this is second paragraph, says, I do not know, no, looks like a typo, nor have I ever received monies for writing my updates and articles. The compensation has been in having outlets to help save children by exposing truths about very secretive satanic ritual abuse / pedophilia and child sacrifice that was rampant in our international society. It says the above was a summary of information from the internet. It will be up to the reader to do their own research and decide whether or not it was valid. A huge thank you to all those dedicated and brave intel providers who wish to remain unknown, to be humble. Wildfire, a lady who was adept at exposing the truth, to Martha, who worked around the clock to discern what was real and the fake news, to Brad, who did great research, to Ken, who uncovered almost unlimited intel on pedophilia to help save the children, and to Bonnie B, who exposes the underlying causes of what is really happening. This is another section, says, divide, they try, fail, they will. WG1, WGA, that's where we go one, we go all, to support POTUS, follow Q, and trust the plan. I want to say I trust the plan. I will send the Safe Link website out when I find out what it is. Plus, it will be posted on several Dinar websites. It is my understanding that by linking to the Safe Link website, it will generate a non-disclosure agreement to agree to in order to get appointments. After signing that non-disclosure, I will be able to email, post, or talk to, it says I will be unable to email, post, or talk to anyone about the exchange process for 90 days. After sending out the Safe Link website, I will be going silent and taking those 90 days to get my humanitarian project organized and going. This was not a goodbye. I expected to be working with many of you in the near future. Says, I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed getting to know all of you. You will remain in my heart forever. Says, let us thank Q that the reset has finally come to be. I wish you well in your humanitarian efforts and look forward to seeing you on the other side. We're together. We will make life better for all. It says, patience is a virtue. Having virtue is a sign of good moral being. good moral beings have the power to overcome evil and change the world. Note Judy, courtesy of Dinar Chronicles. Then it has a link to read the full post here. Okay, what I'll do is I'll post that link, post that in the description box below. Now I'm going to get back to you guys again, by the way, in the chat section. Okay, to finish reading the updates I haven't gotten to yet. Okay. Celeste True Andre says, and he gave RV analogy months ago. Afraid he will not go. Okay, I read that already. Andre Butler says, when it all happens, it will be during the chaos and anarchy in the streets. I think I read that already. Okay, Gerald Jilk says, hey, Dorsey, which is the best currency? Okay, I read that. Went over that already. Okay, I skipped over that. I read that. Says Gerald Jilk says, thanks, Andre. Sitting in the shotgun formation, laugh out loud. Dr. Ed says, brother, who are the authors of Business and the Law? The author was somebody, Rosenberg. This was an older book, by the way. They're going by the name Robert Rosenberg, and it looks like there's a co-author, William G. Ott. By the way, I'll try to hold it up to the camera so you guys can see. So you can see to answer your question, Dr. Ed. It says R. Robert Rosenberg. He looks like the main author. Says it looks like he had a CPA. He's a certified public accountant, has some other credentials, by the way. And the other author of this book, William G. Ott, Director of Law, Vice President of Godly Beacom College. Robert Rosenberg, his credential says educational consultant, formerly president of Jersey City Junior College, by the way. That this is the author of this book. This is an older version. When I did research, I pulled up newer PDF files that I found, those chapters that I went over that was related to information pertaining to the so-called redemption education. I don't call, once again, just to let you guys know, when I use the term, I don't use sovereign citizen, but that research material, a lot of that material, if you know what to look for, is found in a collegiate course. Some books will say business and law, or say and the law, but you can pull, there's more modern day books you can pull up. That's an older book, by the way. So hopefully I answered your question, Dr. Ed. Celeste says, thanks, Dorsey, thumbs up. Appreciate you for the thumbs up. Chris in the building says, peace to you. Thank you for joining, Chris. Appreciate you. Gerald Joke says, have you ever heard of author Lynn Kasten? He wrote a book titled Alien World Order, The Alien Plan to Divide and Conquer the Human Race. No, I'm not familiar with that particular party, Gerald, just to give you a heads up. By the way, I follow some channels that get into esoteric informations, some things like that, like Marfugo News. A friend of mine told me about that channel. Gaia has a channel. I can't remember the full name. It's like on one of the cable channels, but they have a YouTube channel that goes over like esoteric information. I generally don't go over information that much, but I have mentioned, by the way, this book, Children of the Matrix by David Icke. He's the author. This is a very good book that helped wake me up. Some of his earlier books that I had many years ago, I purchased from Borders Books in Dearborn, Michigan, many years ago. They helped wake me up. By the way, I would say my third eye is a figure of speech, saying helped me, really become woke at the time. I was surprised, but this book especially, this gets into the esoteric for those who are interested in that type of information. But I'm not familiar with that author, Gerald, by the way, but I am curious in things of that sort. If you're wondering, David Icke has a channel on Alex Jones's video platform called Band.video, by the way. I'm gonna see if I can post that in the chat section for you guys, just to give you guys a heads up. I have a friend. He has a good friend of mine I've known for a number of years. Okay, Dr. Ed says thank you. Got it. Okay, appreciate I was able to help you, Dr. Ed. So this video, band.video, this website I'm posting in the link section for you guys. David Icke, this is what he looks like, a picture. He's wrote, I have several of his books, by the way. So here, David Icke. This was the first book, David Icke book that I purchased, that drew my interest at the time at Borders Books many years ago. This is his what he looks like. He's a lot older now, but he has that link that I posted. He has a channel on band.video, by the way, and Alex Jones. He's done some good interviews. If you're wondering what's going on, if you have questions about the New World Order, he is the guy that can articulate the high level information that's hard for some people to comprehend. I looked at some of his videos. It was really long, so I didn't finish watching them, by the way. So just to give you guys a heads up, here's another book. You can see it's worn. The back cover came off, but this book is another book by Icke. He covered talking about the 9/11 incident. So he's really, but this book is really good. This gets into some of the stuff I read about the human trafficking from what I remember, and will help you draw the connection, by the way, to, let's see here, we have it. I don't see it. It's another book, To the Masonic Order, by the way. It's a book that I have. I'm looking for. Anyhow. Oh, here it is. Okay, here it is. Actually, I found a couple that a lot of information he discussed. He has like sworn statements where he's interviewed people, and it helps draw the connection to this organization. There's even another book that I purchased. If you had questions, you might want to check in Leo Zagami, by the way, who's overseas in Europe. He's a whistleblower, but he's still a member. He's still part of this organization, but he's with the Alliance. There's a good side and there's a bad side. From what I discovered, there's some, because I was going to pledge many years ago, and some lodges that some guys, people decide to pledge through. I was told to watch out, be careful for Prince Hall, even though historically I learned from this book. I met the author, William Shinoblin, many years ago, by the way. He mentioned Prince Hall was a slave, by the way, many years ago. He petitioned to start the first chapter for Black people in more recent times. I am already aware of the ancient history. By the way, I have this book as well. The author of this book, Anthony T. Browder, he's from Michigan or lived in Michigan. I don't know. He was in maybe one of the Hidden Colors documentaries, by the way. He's a historian. He's been over to Egypt, studied the Kemetic history. So I'm aware that some always point to the origins of this group, but I would say years in more recent times, there's based on which lodges or groups you're part of has been corrupted, by the way. And it's one of the problems we have with the cleanup, the shakeup that's going on with the swamp and the deep state, by the way, is you have a lot of the club members that are looking out, covering for themselves, and see as people in the general public and as women and unsuspecting people that don't understand. You have people that are working for evil, not for the best interest of society as a whole, by the way. So I'm aware of the real history all across the board. I have other books related to this that goes over the true origins, like where's the scripture in the Bible where it originated from. By the way, there was ancient civilization, so I'm aware of that in the mystery schools and mystery systems and stuff like that. Privileged people years ago who were part of the ancient royalty and stuff like that. By the way, but Ike's book really helped wake me up, open my eyes, and this book in particular will help you connect the dots, the pieces to this organization. And then there's other books you can get, by the way. Another one by Tex Mars, Codex Magica. See, it was purchased. See, the receipt's still on here from Borders Books. It's where I purchased from many years ago. My friend, a good friend of mine, was with me at the time and recommended, because this actually shows the symbols, the secret gestures. Because we had one guy that used to come to these classes years ago that said he was battling the judge so hard in court. She was an Eastern Star, and she was throwing out a distress signal because he could speak very fluent. He knew the terminology. He was very well studied with the law. So meaning you can become very successful and proficient with this information. And he explained this in the class I went to many years ago. But this book will help open your eyes to things of that sort, by the way. So to answer your statement once again, Gerald, I hadn't heard of that author, Lynn Castor, but I really don't talk about the esoteric information that much. But if you are interested, that's why I went over these books and resources out there, kind of to give you guys a heads up. If those out there, because I've had a subscriber who asked me some time ago, what were some of these books that I show, who are the authors, by the way. And I've talked to other people in the Black conscious community. And when I went to Northland Mall many years ago, was a guy I met that was aware and said David Icke, he had, they accepted him in the conscious community. He also interviewed an African shaman, or the equivalent of a shaman, like you've heard of shaman of Native Americans, or a tribe, a priest over in Africa, Credo Matwa, by the way, who gave information about the blood sacrifices. And a guy, a street gangster that I knew years ago, was a cool brother, used to take me to some of the classes when I didn't have a car many years ago, when I used to go to these private meetings. By the way, his name was Nettles, Travell Nettles. Big shout out to Nettles, by the way. And he went somewhere. Watched the video. Nettles was already familiar with it, where it was a video footage where Ike was interviewing Credo Matwa. By the way, this is the author, Ike. By the way, he was in Africa and was interviewing the shaman, and the shaman was giving him information about Jean-Benet Ramsey. And I didn't fully understand it till I met two of my other friends who were in the spirituality, who were telling me about this occult stuff and sacrifice. And they opened my eyes to Hollywood and what was going on, and about a lot of these music artists. You got to be careful listening to a lot of these music artists and entertainers who are political, such as Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, telling you to support Biden and Kamala. You generally want to do the opposite, because a lot of those people, their children are going to be very well taken care of. They're set for life. A lot of times they don't live in the real world. They don't no longer live in the hood. They don't live in the street. So they've been perverted by the wealth, by the way. And I think The Rock, it took him years before he sold out, because I knew he went up against Hollywood some years ago. I heard, a friend of mine told me some controversy behind that movie, The One, years ago. He didn't want to star in it. The reason Jet Li played in The One years ago, they originally wanted to cast The Rock, but Dwayne, I heard one of the producers wanted to screw Dwayne a certain type of way. Bobby Hemmett kind of exposed some of this information in the conscious community, how they do these rituals where they want to sleep with rappers in order to initiate people or elevate them high up in these different type of Masonic rituals or things. But the author here, Ike, had interviewed Credo Matwa, so the street gangster guy, who was a cool brother. He used to take me to the meetings years ago. I would say had more hood and street than I did, to show you I've been around the block, by the way, from a number of years from studying this information when I was first waking up. And he knew about this guy. He knew about David Icke already. And he took me somewhere. We were watching the video, and it dawned on me. And Ike really, he really helped wake me up to a lot of the deep esoteric stuff that would blow people away. But I think it's important that people learn about it, because it ties in. You would understand that Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, Joe Biden, a lot of how these politicians are tied in with the deep state. They don't have our best interest at heart. I'm not saying Trump is perfect, but he's more of our ally. He's a good guy. He's with the alliance. Look up Leo Zagami, his work. By the way, he's with the alliance. You have some who are part of the Masonic order that live by the sword. They don't live by the book. They're evil. They're wicked, and things of that sort. By the way, so you have to be careful. Do your research. Who you align yourself with, and be able to discern. Have a spirit of discernment. As far as a lot of these people pretending to be good guys, and they're really just like the movie. A lot of black women think Barack Obama is a good guy, and they think Joe Biden, or they want to see the first black president. I don't have a problem seeing with Kamala having the first female president, and Alex Jones has even said if the president is a woman. I felt Gabby Gifford. I know she was the best candidate that was running during the primaries. What's her name? I think if I said it correctly, where she had challenged Kamala during one of the debates. She was actually a more better viable candidate than Biden. I don't know who she would have picked for vice president, but someone like her, she's level-headed, and it doesn't appear to be bought out or sold like to the deep state. Like she appears to be an outsider, like Trump. She's not establishment, very level-headed, and she appeared to be sincere. She was the best candidate. But notice how they used Kamala. They had Biden pick Kamala, where she was the Trojan horse. Remember, she didn't even make it up the ranks or get as high. But you have to really pay attention to who the bad guys and good guys. But when you understand the information about the Illuminati, and this was the author, Fritz Springmeier, this book help you understand about the ruling class elite, how they operate. By the way, it will give you a discernment between who the real enemies are of the people. And remember, it says on the Georgia Guidestones, this is always not about race and skin color, where they wanted to depopulate the world's population. It's believed to be Ted Turner is one of the funders. He was R.C. Christian. There was a show called America Unearthed that aired on one of the History Channel or Discovery Channel some years ago. A friend of mine invited me over his place and showed me this. And I found out it's believed to be R.C. Christian was none other than Ted Turner, who funded the Georgia Guidestones, where him and the ruling class elite wanted to depopulate the world's population down to 500 million. That means if there's like 8 billion people on the planet now, 6 to 8 billion approximately, then that means that's a lot of people that would have to go. So they're using this COVID thing as a disguise to push their New World Order agenda. And David Icke did two recent videos with Alex Jones. I posted the link, go to band.video in the chat. Here's another link, by the way, as a backup. You can use an alternate link that will take you to that site. Now, mind you, on some phones, if you try to pull this link up, you may have to use DuckDuckGo search engine. Try to use other search engines other than Yahoo or Google, because Google and Yahoo, the big tech companies, have been involved in egregious forms of censorship. I had already done videos proving they've been violating laws, but they don't care because they have a war chest of money and an army of lawyers. But they are they have been subpoenaed recently. Remember, with the hearings that's been taking place, which a lot of the mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC, hasn't been reporting on as much. But Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, Mark Zuckerberg over Facebook, Sundar Pichai, one of the CEOs over Google, Tim Cook at one time, the CEO over Apple. Don't know if Bill Gates has testified before the committee. I know Jeff Bezos over Amazon has. But I think they need to be broken up. That's the reason why they created antitrust laws, to keep big corporations from having a monopoly over small businesses. By the way, there was checks and balances. I took business school. I went to DeVry Institute, and I transferred to Detroit College of Business, which was purchased by Davenport University. By the time I graduated with my associate's degree in business administration, was purchased by Davenport. My degree was in self-directed management. So They went over this in my college classes. So we learned about things of this sort in business class about monopolies, and they were created. Also helps when you have competition, it helps keep the prices lower. Like when there was multiple cell phone companies. I just heard recently that Sprint may have purchased or acquired T-Mobile when T-Mobile had just purchased Metro PCS. And I heard some of these big super corporate conglomerate corporations such as AT&T are actually behind the scenes as shadow companies, even though they were broken up many years ago, still have their hands or ties in Verizon or other countries. So one friend of mine says under the New World Order, they want it to just be one grocery store, one company. So that's why they wanted to just be like a Walmart or one big place. That's why they don't really get messed with. Or during COVID, Amazon is they seen tremendous growth and hiring and building new stores because they've been given preferential treatment. But those are forms of monopolies, by the way. So just something to keep in mind if you study, the laws and things and understand that, by the way, these different things play a part, by the way. So I'm going to get back to the chat section before I wrap things up. Andre Butler says, "The truth shall set you free." Is a good one by David Icke. Okay. I put show. Andre Butler says, "Masonry is African." Okay. Yes, I'm aware of that. That's why I show this book right here by this author. And I have other books as well. So I'm aware there because I know you were in a previous video and mentioned that. But that's kind of like, some of the lodges out there that pertain to Prince Hall. You also have different chapters like Scottish Rite, York Rite. You also got other different orders, secret societies like the higher orders like the Shriners, by the way, the Club of Rome, just to throw a few names, Bilderberg, Trilateral Commission, Davos Group. Those are like, big private meetings they have with members of the high ruling class. And just like the World Economic Forum and the G20 summit, stuff like that, by the way. So pay attention, and those groups have websites too, by the way. You can look up information. Andre Butler says, "Perverted by those in power." Yes, Andre Butler says South African, Credo Mutwa. Gerald Jill says, Andre, yup, he passed away this year, or they took him out. Okay, didn't know that. Says, "To be honest, bro," he says, "Trump is playing his role. These are polarities, the black and white squares, hot and cold." That may be the case, but I can also add to what you're saying that there are some people that said there was military generals that backed Trump. There was a plan that was put in place because I was having a debate with some relatives previously yesterday that I guarantee you, if Hillary had won, you would still have elections. By the way, and I'm quoting from what Larry Nichols has said, rest in peace to him, but you'll never have fair elections again, by the way, because, with all this stuff coming out, Trump is one of the few to stand up to the deep state, being a maverick, to fight them, being a true alpha male, not being afraid to speak his mind. I got to respect that. The man is not perfect. He may say things you don't agree with. I don't co-sign everything he says. Just because you listen or support someone, it doesn't mean that you co-sign everything they say. If we're still a free society, you should still be able to think for yourself, not to be afraid to speak your mind or represent whatever it is you want to represent, by the way. So I would say to add to that, thank God that we do have Trump, because it will definitely be far worse. I promise you that they're trying to turn the United States of America into a third world country and bring in the New World Order, one world government, if they are successful. By the way, this has been, I heard the World Economic Forum met not too long ago. Lisa Haven did a video about this. Kudos to her, the work she's done with her YouTube channel over at Restricted Republic. I don't have the money yet for the subscription, but I do keep up from time to time with some of the videos she puts out on YouTube. There's a plethora of people I follow from all walks of life to show I'm unbiased. This is good reporting, fair reporting, nonpartisan, good quality journalism, by the way. So just adding to what you're saying about Trump, yes, he is playing a role, but he is aware the role that he is playing is critical to our freedom and those who are involved with the global currency reset. process is critical, especially those who have not been born into wealth or would like to have the opportunity to have money to be able to exchange and live a better quality of life. Because there's been a stronghold. Just I knew the banking system was corrupt, but I didn't know it was just literally this evil and this wicked. What I've learned, especially from that event that I attended some years ago, by the way, and it's dealing with the public service announcement. To give you guys a heads up, I appreciate you guys for the thumbs up out there. Those that are continuing to watch, those who continue to follow my channel, big shout out to you. So before I shut things down, just to give you guys a heads up, those who are still watching, don't hesitate. If you have any questions or concerns, don't hesitate. Jump in the chat section real quick so I can answer your questions. This is also Q&A, even though this was an update about the dinar, the reset. By the way, as I said, once again, don't hesitate to jump in the chat. I am your host. You're watching Dorsey's Resource. I am your host, John Dorsey, once again. You can follow me on Twitter at Dorsey's Resource, on Facebook. Information should be in the description box. My social media that I'm on minds.com. I'm also, if I do continue to stay on social media, I'm also on Parler, by the way. I forgot about that. I created an account for Parler. You know, that's more conservative, right-leaning, but they did stress that they don't censor. So it is for every other groups to come on there as well. If you are liberal or independent, whatever your political leanings are, that's fine. Because I'm not a registered voter, by the way. When I do give my opinion, by the way, I've mentioned numerous times in the past, but I do have a Parler account, by the way. It's good information over there. And they said the algorithm, it's unlike Twitter. They said a lot of people have left Twitter, have moved over to Parler. It's an excellent social media site, and you can get verified. I already had got verified over there too. When you got the official logo, I think there's like 2 different verifications. Like if you're really famous or whatever, you get a different color logo, but it's good. It's really good information. A lot of the famous people who are involved with the, you know, if you follow the election fraud that's been going on, they have accounts over there. By the way, you're getting good quality information. The people who are running that site have stressed that so far that there's not going to be censorship to the level that you will see like on Facebook and Twitter, which is very egregious, by the way. And I hear they had lawsuits going on in court between the big tech giants, Apple, Facebook, and Twitter, between the censorship and the lies coming from fact check, the so-called fact check boogers out there. I heard Candace Owens is suing them, and I heard they recently retracted a statement they corrected because she has ongoing litigation. Notice mighty funny, because these entities have unlimited war chest of money, so they're using the banking system as a weapon against us too. So there needs to be better quality distribution of wealth. By the way, that's why I've always supported reparations for African Americans, melanated people, by the way, and being bipartisan in my politics as far as my political leanings. I'll let it be clear. That's why I liked the platinum plan that Ice Cube brought forth. I felt like I needed to weigh in on that, by the way, and there needs to be continued pressure put, even if Biden and Kamala were to get in office, which I don't think will happen, just in my opinion, but we'll see as things roll out. But I think Ice Cube and others need to continue to put pressure on the Democratic Party, the Democratic slave plantation, which has championed causes of other groups, by the way, but don't deliver to Black people their own, a lot of that they've received a lot of support from throughout the years. They'll turn around and champion other causes. I know when they confronted last year, remember there were hearings for reparations in 2019 around the holiday Juneteenth in the summer, by the way, was in discussion. The ADOS movement, the American Descendants of Slavery. So there was congressional hearings, and you know, I feel, in my opinion, that I'm gonna go over this once again, you know, on behalf of my people. By the way, just because I support Trump, I feel like he's the lesser of 2 evils. He's the better option. Some people don't like to use the term lesser of 2 evils, but I will say overall, he's the better option. I read a list of things, of notes that he's done, and I'll go over that again. by the way, I got for, that doesn't get covered as much by the mainstream media. That is basically a cover up. By the way, let me see if I can find that information. No, I have the notes. Scroll down because I've gone over a lot of information about the Democratic Party. Okay. So here we go. Okay, got 26 you guys watching. Gerald Joke says, how much is the subscription? Maybe we can help you, or you help. It's only fair. By the way, that's it. Are you referring, if I go over to Patreon, I will probably let you guys know. I'll probably put it in the description box, Gerald, just to answer your question. But one of the ways, if you want to support the channel, the Cash App link should be linked to my channel. If not, it is in the description box. That's one of the ways you can donate. You can support the channel through Cash App. It's at Dorsey's Resource. Also, pay through PayPal. You can support the channel that way as well. If you want to help out or see me go to the next level. That's if I do decide to stay on here, by the way. But I'll give you guys a heads up. Patreon is more private too, by the way, and it will help cut down on trolls and stuff like that too, by the way. Lamont for Life says, do you think Trump will win the Supreme Court win to stay president? In my humble opinion, I think so. I think they have standing. I think if the Supreme Court voted otherwise, I think it would be treasonous. I think the evidence is there. A lot of the lower level courts judges were appointed by Obama, but as one of my relatives tried to say when I got into a debate with yesterday, tried to say a judge out of Wisconsin didn't want to hear his lawsuit or threw it out, and it reiterated that he was a Republican. You got to understand that many of the Republicans are bought out. They're deep state operatives, by the way, that don't have Trump's best interest at heart. That's why Kemp and who was in Georgia, he was former Secretary of State in Georgia, and what's his name, Roethlisberger. It's been believed to be allegedly, because this hasn't gone to court yet. They know. See, the problem is when there's voter fraud that happens, it's supposed to be something to the reason why I can understand. I was telling a friend of mine why the mainstream media says it's alleged voter fraud, because things have to go through litigation, and they know the people that orchestrated this, I believe, is premeditated. And it's been heavily coordinated, that they know to get a judgment, it would take months of litigation. You would need a jury trial, by the way, to prove this, to get, a solid judgment. So they have to expedite things, because based on things that has happened. But the way that they did this, the Democrats were very sloppy in this coordinated effort, and the deep state operatives. So there's still things, legal maneuvers that can be done. But to answer your question, Lamont for Life, I think if the Supreme Court doesn't rule in its favor, if it does go to that, they're in the midst of trying to exhaust their administrative remedies. They may not have to, because the state legislatures that are mostly Republican controlled do have the power to reverse the decision and send their own electors there, that they control the states, because there's proven fraud. I know some of the electors, when I watched the hearing in Michigan, one of the Republican legislators looked scared. He said, "You want me to put my name on this?" You can tell they're afraid, because there were people being threatened. But that's obvious indication that if Biden won fair and square, and this was a legitimate election, the Democrats will want there to be a forensic audit. I think you don't need just a recount. You need to have a forensic audit, by the way, which is different, where signatures need to be verified with something like this, because moving forward, and this also happened in other races, Senate races, House races, so this isn't necessarily about Trump, but moving forward, you will never, in my opinion, if this isn't fixed and worked out, you will never have fair elections again. And this has been going on in previous years, by the way. I believe even back in 2018, for example, they tried to pull this down in Broward County, if some of you all remember, down in Florida, by the way. I see we got a super chat in the building. Andre Butler, 1999. Appreciate you for the super chat. Big shout out to you, Andre, for supporting the channel. Appreciate the super chat. thank you. Kudos to you again, acknowledging you. So, but answering your question, Lamont, I think it would be treasonous, and I think it would be tyranny if they don't rule in his favor. By the way, it says greater period. Three says how long did it take you to figure out Santa wasn't real? By the way, okay, I don't know if that based on that statement, if that's a troll, somebody trolling, may have to make see if I can make some people moderators in here. You know, appreciate you, Andre. I added you in as a moderator. Say Gerald, I'm gonna add you in as a mod. But let me know, guys, if you want to be a moderator in here, because we got, you know, I noticed other channels. I really haven't gotten a lot of trolls as of lately, but that's why I said if I start a Patreon account, because once again, just to give you guys a heads up, we do have gatekeepers, very evil people, minions that follow my channel, very wicked, deceitful people who don't have our best interest at heart, by the way, who don't want people sharing this type of information. Some of these are very mean-spirited, cruel people. Some of these people were born into wealth, and some of them have money. They've never suffered or had to punch a 9-to-5 clock or work hard, you know, like myself and others, many others out there. So just keep that in mind. And they don't want you guys to know the real information. But I'm not afraid. I'm showing my real face. It's funny that these scrubs out here who, you know, like to troll don't never show a real face, by the way. You know, talk all this smack and stuff like that, by the way, you know. And I've done, you know, things before, you know, I understand people, I respect anonymity, but at the same time, people are doing it to legitimately be dishonest and disrespectful, you know, that's where we have to kind of draw the line at, you know what I'm saying? By the way, so Lamont for Life says, when I was at the polling office, they were looking at people's ballots before they sealed the ballots. Yeah, I heard about that. Some people reporting that they aren't supposed to do that. So yeah, I think it's all will be coming out. There's going to be more information eventually. Of course, there's the mainstream media, but explaining they do have a legitimate reason why they're saying allegedly voter fraud, because the people that premeditated this understood, because the electors, generally the electoral college has to vote by December 12th or around that time. And there's only so much time after the election. You only have so much time, and it's expensive. So what you're learning when someone cheats like this, and this is done on a massive coordinated effort in multiple states, that it can be expensive. Because I heard Trump just did a regular recount. It's like $2 million. By the way, you know, Hillary had a recount done in Michigan back in 2016 because some asked back then, and there was discrepancies that were found. They had to throw out, even though they say Trump only won the state by only 10,000 votes, they still cheated big time and hurt Hillary's favor back in 2016. Even though Trump, they said at that time, it's just the fraud, the cheating was more egregious this time because you had all these ballots show up after the polls closed at 8 o'clock. And there's one guy who was a poll watcher who came out as a whistleblower. He signed the affidavit and said that chain of custody, that the rules ballots came in from the city clerk's office in Wayne County. That would be what's her name? I want to say Janice Winfrey, because Kathy M. Garrett, she's the clerk for the clerk of the court. But Janice Winfrey, the poll watcher, he signed an affidavit. Mind you, when people do that, they're testifying under oath. That means they would be facing under penalty of perjury 14 to 15 years in prison. So I think Giuliani showed he's got stacks of affidavits, many whistleblowers. You got the lady who worked for Dominion. You got the guy who was former military. You got postal workers coming out. You got the guy that was the truck delivery driver that came out as whistleblowers. So it's just numerous cut clear evidence. You know, you got to believe that the sky is pink, that cows can fly, you know, to believe that there's no evidence and no sign. My sensei that trained me in martial arts used to have a saying that he would say, he who has eyes, let him see. He who has ears, let him hear. But I don't know if he got that quote out the Bible or whatever, but there's people that they suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, by the way, and they just don't want to believe they couldn't. I knew they couldn't take it because he had a blowout in all of these states by midnight. They said even by 2 a.m. in the morning, and they saw because he was leading by so much. Sidney Powell's alleging that the only reason they discovered this, he was getting so many record amount of votes in, he broke the algorithm when they were using Dominion machines to flip votes in Biden's favor because Trump was blowing them out, was winning so much in all of these swing states. By the way, remember they would call states for Biden election night that Biden didn't even have his leads as big as Trump did in certain states. But notice they waited in many of these swing states to give this a vote to Trump, because I heard allegedly, according to an election law some years ago, that all votes had to be counted in by midnight, and it was created by Democrats. It came out it was implemented in '97, and it was further implemented in 2013 that all votes. That's why the polling stations have to close by a certain time. Well, so what do you have? People keep voting in the nature of a contest, because it is a form. Think about it, it's a form of a competition. Just like in basketball, the team that has the most amount of points before the clock expires for the last quarter is the winner of the game or whatever. So for the nature of the competition, you have to have rules, guidelines in place. So they need to set these rules or figure out between the Democrats and Republicans what are illegal votes. They're going to allow, is it okay for illegal immigrants to vote? I heard they had duplicate ballots. Ballots were being put in the machines multiple times. There's eyewitness testimony with that. You just seen the footage that came out recently in Georgia. I know many of you all are already aware of that. Follow the situation. The drivers, they say it's illegal for ballots to go across state lines. That's a felony. You had the whistleblower that came out who was connected to the post office. You had other postal workers who came out, said it was illegal for ballots to be backdated. So you had numerous fraud, corruption going on. You had in Cobb County, Georgia, eyewitnesses, video footage of a truck shredding Trump ballots, destroying them. That was another method that was used. They said in Cobb County, I'm not even from Georgia. I don't even live down there. They said it was fraud in Fulton County, Gwinnett County, Cobb County, Georgia, Wayne County, very similar to Fulton County, Georgia, and Wayne County, Detroit. That's Detroit, Michigan. So I don't find this to be a coincidence. Mama didn't raise no fool. I wasn't born stupid. So all these people that saying that CNN, MSNBC, who else? Politico, the Washington Post, New York Times, they're saying it's baseless conspiracy theory. No, that's inaccurate. They're fabricating information. That's a bunch of BS. But legally, because it hasn't gone to court, I can get where they're coming from because the people that set this up. But Sidney Powell, Trump's lawyers, you have they've since there's so much fraud that's been committed, they had to ask the courts, they have to go on expedited time. So the Supreme Court might end up definitely having to make a ruling on this, definitely, because you know, I think if they were to disagree and they didn't rule in Trump's favor, it would be tyranny, by the way, that you would definitely kiss our freedoms goodbye, because they're one of the last genuine standing forms of our government, of our upholding our Constitution, taking an oath of office. You have many public officials who sold out, I've heard been paid off by Soros, lobbyists, even former Mayor Mike Bloomberg. He's another name, another billionaire. He mentioned publicly he was going to fund these anarchist groups and different organizations. So you have many lobbyists. That's why a lot of rhinos of people that's been going against Trump, and hopefully they will be voted out, weeded out by the real supporters, and we the people who see the fraud, the corruption going on, who are tired of it, who want honest, better quality government, by the way, because that's the reason why checks and balances were put in place. When you go back and read your constitutions, your original Declaration of Independence that talked about the militia in there specifically, before I heard Homeland Security tweaked it and changed it some years later, that you had the right to bear arms, and in the event, you know, of things, you know, it's still, you still may be able to find it, but you can look it up. That's why these things, the founding fathers, they weren't perfect, but they put these checks and balances in place, by the way. But if the left takes over, then you know, you're going to have, I guarantee you, you're going to see things get worse. And it's turning into this now where there's blatant evidence. You have these mainstream media outlets that are liberal, left leaning, that lean towards the Democrats, that are just ignoring the blatant fraud, the blatant evidence, and saying it's a baseless conspiracy theory when it's a clear-cut evidence, there's definitely fraud that's been committed, by the way. You know, like I said, again, the sky must be pink outside or whatever, and animals, dogs can fly. Because other than that, you know, you got to be, you know, not in your right state of mind if you believe that. If you just, they just must be ignoring because they hate Trump so bad. And this is not just about Trump, but future elections moving forward, by the way. And they've used the Dominion machines in previous elections, and that is a foreign company just within itself. We talked about the same Democrats when Trump first got in that said Russia, 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 which was all, you know, a hoax made up. When you know about the Steele dossier and the Crossfire Hurricane investigation that's been going on, and the dossier and that Hillary Clinton was involved with, and Barack Obama with the surveillance, you know, that was all, you know, they pieced that together to try to put something on Trump. He was so squeaky clean, you know, they didn't have too much on him, you know what I'm saying, other than the Ginger Daniels situation, and he paid that off. By the way, Obama also had a campaign violation too of $300,000, but you won't hear that from the mainstream media, which I heard paid off as well, just like Trump did. But you know, they're trying to get Trump for things that were minuscule and make it like, you know, really big. But they committed very egregious crimes, and you got to look at the fact that Obama, Hillary, Biden, they've been lifetime politicians for a very long time. What have they accomplished? And they claim to be pro-black and have done things. Obama had 8 years. He could have passed an executive order. That's what a friend of mine who studied political science and economics told me. He had a former secret security clearance, which is highly credentialed, very credible. I respect people have credentials like that. And listening to some of these other goofy people who out here who think that they're experts or whatever. And Trump passed a couple executive orders to help, one specifically to help revitalize the Black community. And he had Bob Johnson, the former CEO of BET, or that started Black Entertainment Television, was at the White House when these announcements were made, along with the opportunity zones, which was separate, that Trump did, and other activists on behalf of the Black community. So there's a lot of things that are not being told, a lot of lies that are put out here, by the way. Read some of the comments. So Andre says, absolutely. Gerald Joke says, thank you so much. Yeah, you're correct. Greater Period 3 says, how do you feel about removing the Electoral College? By the way, I don't know. My opinion, I know ABL, who I follow, did a video about that. I think it needs to stay in place because from what I understand, that was actually put in place for checks and balances, by the way, between certain states that don't have as large of a population as California and Texas. By the way, California and Texas kind of balance each other out, but the way things are going, if proper checks and balances aren't put in place, Texas is leaning towards going blue one day, just like Georgia is going towards that direction as far as being a state. These are states that have heavily been conservative, have been red Republican states for a while. So the Electoral College is very important, I think. But as I was going over once again, because of the fraud that's been committed, when Giuliani went around to the different state legislatures and had those hearings, he is correct in allowing those legislatures to be aware, because you have a lot of people who are going into public office, just like Ocasio-Cortez, who are not aware of the laws or what their powers are for their specific position. You remember when Ocasio-Cortez wasn't able to quote the three-body politics of government between was it the legislative, the judicial, and the executive branch? You know, remember that? And people had called her out on that. So that's why Giuliani went around to these different state legislatures that are Republican controlled to let them know you have the power to not certify, and don't be threatened by Democrats. Get with Trump to get protected by U.S. Marshals or hire private security, you know, because this is a fight. The left is playing very dirty, by the way, but he let them know you have constitutional power. He mentioned what the specific law is. They can overturn because there was fraud committed. They weren't supposed to certify when there's been egregious. There's been evidence of crimes of fraud, major fraud being committed. But you know how in Wayne County, why they would threaten those two board canvassers, because what did they have to hide? You know, they obviously were guilty when they covered up the glass at the TCF Center. That was illegal, by the way. When they didn't let the poll watchers back in, that's part of their job. That's why many of them sign affidavits under penalty of perjury, facing, when you sworn testimony, 15 years in prison or more to come out. So I don't think those people are lying or would take the risk to do that. There was even a tape or audio that was leaked out that shows that it was Democratic poll workers who were being coached on how they would use these tactics that was described in the testimony, how they would cheat and use Antifa or others, agitators, to keep poll watchers from coming in and use the Detroit police to call on them. And they did this not just here in Detroit, but multiple states. And these same states that this happened in all stopped counting election night when all the votes were supposed to be in by a certain time, and they couldn't get it together. You know, come on now, guys. Your mama didn't raise no fool. I wasn't born yet. I didn't come out my mama's womb yesterday. You know, the sky must be pink. If you guys believe that, there's obvious indication of fraud. But I do understand from a legal perspective, they know generally it would take months to go through a jury trial, and they don't have time for that because of electoral certification. So that's why they have to expedite the legal maneuvers that they're moving. By no means am I a legal expert. That's why I gave a disclaimer, but I was explaining to a friend of mine. I do get when the mainstream media does say that, but they're not going into all the details like I'm explaining to you guys, or how the ball is in Trump's favor. It's in his court. And even with these states' legislatures where these egregious crimes have been committed. And we'll also add that some of them allegedly might be in on it if they are a Republican, wink, wink, because if they were paid for the contracts by Dominion, maybe it was in their best interest. They may have wanted Trump to lose. They may not want a forensic recount, which would expose a lot of the fraud, by the way, or ballots that were thrown out and things of that sort, or dead people voting, or people that received ballots for their pets, and children that were registered, or addresses of people that didn't live in that state, or people that voted twice. You do a forensic audit with signature verification, it will show these things. But obviously the Democrats don't want that, because that will show that there's evidence, clear evidence of fraud was committed. You see? But it's funny how CNN, MSNBC, and others, these outlets, won't go over the information that I just articulated for you guys. It's just, you know, pretty obvious, by the way. So Lamont for Life says that's true. It says, aren't we still in a national emergency? Because if we are, there couldn't be a real election. Yes, I have a private source that I forgot that also informed me that we are in a form of soft martial law that started some years ago after 9/11, by the way. Remember when you would go to airports, I don't know if they still do this, but you know how they make announcements when you go into the grocery store dealing with COVID. They used to make announcements when you go in the airport that there's different levels of martial law, how there's a color-coded system, how at an orange level, red, I think is the highest. That's where you have full martial law, where you can see military men with guns and tanks going down the street. That's at the highest level. We're in a different stage of it. So we are in a form of martial law. Yes, to be more specific. And I had an elder who reminded me of that recently, by the way, and I'll just leave it at that. By the way, so yes, you are correct, Lamont. That's a good question, good statement to bring up. Greater Paris says, how do you feel about the pandemic and how Trump handled it? By the way, well, there's two sides. I debated with one of my relatives about that yesterday, and if they're Democratic leaning, they're going to have one perspective. But I do believe, in my humble opinion, it was brought in overseas, but the reason the death rates that were being reported on is not accurate. By the way, there was even whistleblowers that have come out from the people that do like morgue work, morticians in hospitals and nurses. There was a nurse that went undercover. She had a video on band.video. You might still be able to find it there. I don't remember the title, where she worked as a whistleblower, and she had worked overseas and mentioned how they are killing people with their stick in the what do you call it? The thing where they incubate people and they're blowing their lungs out or whatever. And then there's people they say you can't. It's not healthy to be on a ventilator too long, that it does something. So the numbers are also being drastically inflated. Remember, Trump was one of the people that, because of the immigration thing, he wanted to shut the borders down. But you still had, they when they showed the footage of Nancy Pelosi when she visited Chinatown, and you had other people who they were still going to big gatherings and weren't taking it serious. And you even have whistleblowers who are exposing Democratic senators or governors and city officials, mayors, who were going to restaurants and stuff that were telling their constituents or the people that live in their city, their residents, to follow the rules, and they weren't following it themselves. So it's like one side is pointing the finger at the other, but you have to pay attention to the ruling class elite who was responsible for bringing this over here. By the way, pay attention to these people, the bloodlines, the Illuminati or whatever, because keep in mind, they also want to keep people divided amongst party lines. If you look at it from that angle, by the way, so it could go back and forth, but I think he handled it in the best way that he could. It's something new. Remember, Obama had a pandemic, had the H1, was it the H1N1? I can't remember, back in 2009, and there was a high number of people that had it, but they didn't shut the whole economy down. Keep in mind, I always forget about this when I did cover that topic, because YouTube was censoring a lot of videos pertaining to COVID, by the way. And one of the things that was pointed out was years ago when we had it during Obama, when he was in office, they didn't shut the whole economy down. They're warranted where enough people were sick, by the way, that things didn't escalate or go in the manner that they're going. I know one of the reasons, I'm being told behind the scenes, that this is being used as a cover to bring in the New World Order, the one world government, by the way. And I do believe there's validity behind that. But you have to ask the question, many of these democratic liberal controlled cities and states where they're pushing for the lockdowns and things, I do believe it is a legitimate virus. However, the way it's being handled, you have to do the deep research into how the people are dying and how they forcefully, once people check into the hospital, some of the tactics that they use. And you have deep state operatives that are going along with the agenda, by the way. That's another reason for the high death rate. And remember, they were counting people that died of other things, saying that they were COVID-19 deaths to inflate the numbers because hospitals would get more money. But remember, when you shut the whole economy down and you stagnate the economy, it causes it to go into a form of a depression for various reasons. So Trump, remember, even in a short amount of time, when economies did open back up before the winter hit, they said that the GDP started to go back up again, because before COVID hit, he had the lowest black unemployment rate, numbers better. The economy was thriving. So COVID came in all of a sudden. You have to ask the question, but it's a lot to unpack. I mean, each to each their own. They have to do their own research and homework. I'm just giving my opinion, by the way. But I think many of you are aware of the New World Order. You are aware of Dr. Fauci, Bill Gates, the agenda with the vaccines and stuff. So I don't think that's a coincidence that this is being brought in. Some call it the scandemic, by the way. Now, to be fair, I do just to be fair. I'll show you guys. I do wear my mask or whatever, to be, compliant, socially to practice social distancing and things. So I do try to follow the rules and stuff like that. By the way, I had respiratory problems in the past, but not severely. But yes, this is definitely, in my humble opinion, it's been brought in strategically, and there could be something else much worse coming down the pipeline. And I recommend everybody stay vigilant, because I have been getting emails from some subscribers who I appreciate for sending me good intel, because there's different subjects that are important that deal with the New World Order, with the what the ruling class elite are trying to implement. So we do need more people to wake up. So I posted in the chat section, the alternate link censored by Jack goes to band.video. You guys get a chance. You also want to support Alex Jones. By the way, he's been a patriot for a long time. You may not agree with everything he says. It doesn't mean I co-sign everything he says, just like it doesn't mean that I co-sign everything that Trump says. But I think he's genuine and passionate and trying to warn people, warn the American people, patriots in general. And he interviewed David Icke not too long ago. It was a very good interview, by the way. Icke is located over in the United Kingdom, I believe, somewhere over in that region of the world. And it was a very good interview, by the way. And these guys are good, genuine men, patriots. I commend them. If you really want to know what goes on, I was going to tell you guys a story earlier. I got sidetracked, but it came back to my remembrance. Is I have a friend that asked me, several people, when COVID first hit, the coronavirus, what did I think of it? And I told him, you know, continue to go to Infowars.com, check the updates, and band.video. That's where you can see the video feeds of Alex Jones and other intel providers, and also the coverage where YouTube took down the video where the doctors held a press conference where they were telling people the benefits of hydroxychloroquine. I remember here in Michigan, I didn't do a video about it specifically, but there was a state rep who was censored by the governor. She was blacklisted because she had met with the Trump administration. She was a Democrat and mentioned how hydroxychloroquine had saved her life, and she wanted people to know about it. And the governor threw her under the bus, and she said she was blacklisted after this. She was a black woman. I don't remember her name offhand. I did mention it in a previous video, by the way, but I'm just giving you guys, you know, a heads up. I do feel in my humble opinion, that we do need patriots, you guys, to be aware that there's people that need to be on the front lines in different areas, just like the military has different departments. That's not my specialty or my category, but I do appreciate the people warning me about the information, what to look out for, because this thing is real. But they don't have our best interest at heart. I think Dr. Fauci, Bill Gates, these are very evil people that are into eugenics. Bill Gates' father worked for Planned Parenthood, I heard. It's not a coincidence. You look at Hillary Clinton's background. She said Margaret Sanger was her idol, who practiced sterilization on Black people, radiation on melanated people. By the way, so these people that are Democrats are not our heroes, by the way. But why is it some people that supported Biden and Kamala fiercely, and a lot of them are Black women and claim to be Christians and church going, are not telling you this information that I'm going over? They need to be going over that information, because that's what's really important. By the way, that's where Trump is the lesser of two evils. He's the better option overall. By the way, those other people are heavily pledged deeply with the New World Order, former President Bush. That's why is it he's cool with Obama all of a sudden? He was a Republican. They're supposed to be on the opposite side. How are they saying they all going to take the vaccine together to prove to everybody that it's safe? But at the same time, how do you know just from seeing it on national TV that the version they're going to get might be water or something, maybe the clean version of the vaccine? How do you know the one that you get may be the bad version that may poison you or sterilize you? Think about it. How do you know that? And you know, they're all cool with each other all of a sudden. They're all lovey-dovey, woo-woo, but they're all against Trump. And Trump, some people say, well, Trump is establishment. Well, if he was establishment, that means he would be cool with them, with their clique. Notice how Obama, former President Bush, Clinton, they all clicked up. By the way, you see read the articles from Yahoo that's going through the Associated Press that shows I'm paying attention to both sides, the mainstream media, the alternative media, and independent media, by the way. So you have to ask these questions and brainstorm what you're being told and evaluate. But definitely stick with Alex Jones. Telling you, even if you don't agree with him, he gives the updates about things you might be interested in. I check his video, the topics, and I read the articles from time to time, and he gives you good. He still has a staff of reporters, and if you can go over there and support, buy his products and stuff. I was going to do a separate video to go over the products that I purchased from InfoWars. I've assisted other sites and even people within the Black conscious community too, if they have good products as well, by the way. So I got some other people in the chat. Looks like some more comments in here. I'm gonna acknowledge you guys again. It says, okay, I answered that question. Lamont for Life says that's true. And aren't we still in a national emergency? Yep, I answered that already. He says, how do you feel about the pandemic and how, okay, I thought I answered that already. Lamont for Life says, remember March 2020, FEMA took over the pandemic. Okay, I heard some stuff about that between the back and forth, who had more power between them and Trump or whatever. Gerald Joke says they got footage all over the place. Yes, if you're referring to the election. Lamont for Life says true opportunity zones. 7100 Warhawk says, good evening, Mr. Dorsey. Good to catch you. I got in late. It's okay, Warhawk. I appreciate you. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make you a moderator. I'm gonna add you in as a mod. So if you're still watching, Warhawk, because you've been a long time subscriber, I've seen you do participate oftentimes in the chat. Appreciate you. I do get to the comments because I want to acknowledge you guys, by the way, in real time. Even if I sometimes, if I don't disable the chat section of certain videos, if there's too many trolls or whatever, as I had people attacking Fleming, by the way, that's why I disabled the comment section of the video, the recent videos, the other guy that you saw that I posted, that is Fleming, by the way. So that's why I disabled the comment section. But the reason I acknowledge you guys and when I'm doing a live video, by the way, is definitely to interact and you guys can answer questions, because this is Q&A. This is why I got this open, and this is my off day. This is my last day of my vacation before I go back on to my regular schedule tomorrow, by the way, just to give you guys a heads up. So appreciate you all for joining. I am your host. Once again, John Dorsey at Dorsey's Resource. You can follow me on Facebook at Dorsey's Resource. I'm on Twitter. I'm also on Parler. Just set up a Parler account. Maybe looking to get on Rumble, which I didn't know someone had put me up on a previous video. That's another video web hosting platform that's independent. And I recommend other content creators as well. If you're concerned about the censorship, by the way, there's a plethora of other platforms to get on. I did a video. I may need to do another updated video covering that. I'm also on minds.com. That's another one. And the algorithm is a lot different, where you'll see the posts won't be suppressed and censored. Like, you know, YouTube, you look at my older videos, some of them have like over 20,000, 30,000 views that I did on the Dinar, but I could barely sometimes break 200 or 300 views because of the censorship with YouTube or whatever. So think about that. These other platforms, they don't censor. So if I do decide to stay online, I will be looking, and I would suggest that you guys do the same thing and optimizing your platform, by the way, so it's not just centralized, you know, and because Parler, like these platforms mentioned, they want to, they mentioned that they're not going to censor people the way that Twitter is. They made a pledge. Minds, the CEO said that. You also have Gab.ai. I hear you have other ones out there, Library or something like that. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly. Library, some may pronounce it. It's like connected to a cryptocurrency. That's another video web hosting platform, by the way. And there's another one called Odyssey. I'm not on there, but I heard that those two were actually growing since they're fairly new, from a year, from some content creators that had like 1 million followers on YouTube, and they got followers over there that's like in the thousands, because there's channels that are much bigger than mine. I'm not complaining. I'm gaining momentum where I'm getting close to 7,000 subscribers. I have over 6,500 subscribers, by the way, with this channel. But yeah, I am looking to definitely get on other platforms. I'm also on Brighteon. Brighteon is another platform. That's Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, has really good info. By the way, smart guy. He was censored and actually kicked off YouTube before Alex Jones was. By the way, for no reason, no community guideline strikes. They just kicked him off. By the way, he says he did a story where he thinks it had to deal with. By the way, and he started Brighteon, and that's open to other content creators, by the way. And they have a lot of views. They have like a section for popular videos. So you have other web hosting platforms that are friendly to content creators that don't censor people for political purposes, because these big tech companies are violating our First Amendment right and freedom of speech, by the way. And they're a lot of times they're hardcore left leaning, liberal leaning, and they wanted to be they wanted to have the privilege of not having to go by the rules of publishers because they registered as public utilities. So I think the hearings they're trying to work out. They're saying that Trump may be repealing some type of executive order that gave these big tech companies immunity. I think he does, because they are getting away with egregious crimes of censorships, and they don't want to take the responsibility of being publishers, by the way. And there needs to be better checks and balances put in place, by the way, with these big tech companies, mainly speaking of Google, Viacom, Apple, Facebook, Twitter, Microsoft, and others, by the way. That's why antitrust laws were put in place. I learned about this in college. I'm giving you guys business classes I took. My teachers talked about monopolies, like when Daimler formed with Chrysler, and then now it's become Fiat. They merged and became a German company, by the way. So I had a business teacher, DeVry Institute of Technology, down in Columbus, Ohio. So I'm giving you guys from a collegiate perspective what I learned, and this is the reason why antitrust laws were put in place. Kudos to Ed O'Bannon, who won the lawsuit against the NCAA some years ago, because I felt if colleges were making millions and billions of dollars off of athletes, and some of them who weren't able to go pro or didn't get drafted, that money they made or through advertisement off their likeness in college could have helped gone into a trust fund or could help them out. And I felt it wasn't right. So I commended Ed O'Bannon for his lawsuit against the NCAA, so college players could get paid. And they used the same antitrust laws, by the way, that the colleges, they had these monopolies. That's not right. They're making millions and billions of dollars off of athletes, and they're not giving them a cut and saying that they're breaking rules. That's why the boosters and stuff were doing what they were doing to try to recruit athletes to the school, to the programs, by the way. And then the colleges and stuff, the NCAA is playing good cop, bad cop. No, there needs to be better checks and balances in place. So that's why kudos to Ed O'Bannon, who I heard a friend of mine told me he was drafted by the Detroit Pistons some years ago. In case you don't know, he was a player. He won a championship with the UCLA Bruins back in 1995. I was still in high school. They won the championship game against Arkansas, I believe, by the way. It was some years ago, by the way, Ed O'Bannon. Yep. So he had maybe a short stint in the NBA because he got hurt, injured. Players' stock value doesn't go up so high. Teams are afraid or to take a risk in drafting the player when they get injured. So you can look his bio up. So that shows you I'm paying attention, but comparing it to the antitrust laws that these big tech companies, we need better checks and balances in place. So no matter what people's political views are, they can speak their mind as long as, they're not calling terroristic threats or doing things that they have to steal. The big companies, they have guidelines and rules, as long as they will say years ago, as long as you don't yell fire in a movie theater or whatever, or you're not, calling for, threats and stuff like that. Even if someone agrees with your speech, that's your right to freedom of speech under the First Amendment, even if someone doesn't agree. So we need platforms that are fair, and you do have good platforms out there. That's why I put in the chat section, stick with Alex Jones band.video. I'm gonna go over some of his products before I shut this video down. I'm gonna acknowledge you guys in the chat, but show you guys a few of the products. I can do a whole separate video that I purchased, by the way. So just bear with me. Okay, let me put some of them up here, stack them up. So I got some of the products to show you guys that I bought, just to say, because we in a do or die situation. He's out here warning us. He's fighting the New World Order, the bad guys, the bullies, by the way, the elite scumbags. This is the original bottle. I had ordered a newer bottle of the real red pill. See, by the way, this bottle, I think, is empty. Yep. So this was a really good product. It has pregnenolone. As you age, you get a certain age. It's like a hormone tied in with your testosterone in men. Starts to decrease over time as you age, get older. Supplements are a way of, this is not health advice, by the way, but taking supplements are a way of bulletproofing your immune system, by the way. It's another product that has fish oil in it called Extendawise. I had gotten a newer product. This is the original older version of fish oil. This is powerful. This is the newer version. This is all empty, but this is good for your brain, good food. This is good for your joints, your ligaments. As you age, you get older. Helps. Fish oil is really good. Helps lubricate the joints. Has numerous good properties to it, by the way. So just a few products I'm going over. This has turmeric in it, some other herbs for you. This was the powder form. I also had another version from the site that he partnered with, the Global Healing Center, that had a liquid form that I like. I like a lot of the liquid nutraceuticals because it hits your bloodstream immediately, quickly, by the way. Here's another product. I have a little bit left. This is like a more potent version of the fish oil. Krill oil, salmon, has similar health properties and benefits. And this also contains an amino acid that is good for your eyesight called astaxanthin that can pass through, one of the only few amino acids can pass through your blood-brain barrier, and it's good nutrition for your eye, like up there or beyond beta carotene for your eyesight. Because as we age, you get older based on the foods you eat. Over time, you can suffer from macular degeneration. By the way, I was explaining to one of my relatives, I had an aunt who had eye surgery or whatever, but this product right here helps, has that. They have a separate supplement. Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, sells on his website. You can buy astaxanthin separately, but this, you know how some products contain a combination of other vitamins and things in a spagyrics format that's centered around nutraceutically to assist the body or whatever organs that is benefiting to work synergistically together, by the way, if you guys get what I mean. So I went over bodies, and then I had selenium was a good product. This is for reproductive health, by the way. Don't remember all the benefits. I just know some years ago I had a relative who was a pastor of a church, and his wife had trouble conceiving, by the way. Now, my sensei and that trained me in martial arts and knew a little bit about ancient medicine and from ninjutsu, because if you study the story behind ninjas, they knew things how to heal people. And he explained to me on behalf of this relative that I had told maybe another relative, I know someone who explained what she needs to try to bear children. He said she needed selenium helps. There's women out there that have trouble trying to bear children or whatever, that I don't know all of the details, but it helps with reproductive health and the properties that it's important. There was a basketball player they made a movie about who also died some years ago. He had a disease. I found out why. The basketball player Chris Bosh from the Miami Heat stopped playing, had to retire early, who won a championship with LeBron. He had the similar disorder. I don't know the name of it, but this helps with, like, it's good for your heart health, because a pastor I lived with told me many years ago there was a drink he would buy for his son. It was like it's kind of like a supplement, but he said you need selenium was important, and he explained to me the reason why it's good for heart health. Like in my family, you know how doctors will ask you if you're going for surgery or just for a checkup, they will ask you about your family history, medical history. Are there any relatives in the family that suffer from heart disease or diabetes or whatever? Selenium is good, like, I guess, for also for men if you have heart disease that runs in the family. But I would do more research. What I do before I buy supplements or products, I would also, because there's a lot of good information on YouTube and maybe other platforms, even just the internet. I will see if people have done reviews on these products too, by the way, just to give you guys a heads up. I see really quick, we got a super chat in the building from 7100 Warhawk, $25. Appreciate you. Big shout out to you, Warhawk, for the super chat. Kudos to you, by the way. Much love. And the last product for the time being, I have another bottle of this, by the way. This is called Brain Force. This, of course, obviously is on the bottle. This is good for your brain health. It's good brain food. It has some vitamin B in it. Even though I had a liquid supplement, I had ran out of vitamin B. That had B12. As you age, get older, vitamin B is also good for your brain health and energy production. Too, one of my other products also contains some elements of vitamin B in it as well, but this is specifically engineered to help the brain. I heard a lot of people out of Silicon Valley take a product similar to this. A lot of people in the tech industry. This also can help give you energy other than coffee. Will stand up where your brain will be really wired up. By the way, and this stuff is potent too. So it will kick in. By the way, and I have some other products. Like I say, I could do a separate review on. By the way, but I'll do a plethora. I'm gonna grab some of the other products so you guys can see to show. But if you can get these products from InfoWarsStore.com. It should be linked to his website. You want to support him if you can. By the way, he's been on the front lines warning us what's going on. I still pay attention what the deep state is up to, what the agenda, what the plan is. And these are good products that I've taken because a good friend of mine sent me an article that BuzzFeed did that tried to discredit those products that I went over, but no, they do work. Even Officer Tatum asked about them. I don't know if he did an updated video if Alex Jones's products work, and I will testify, yes, they work. I'm gonna show you guys some other stuff, so just bear with me. Okay, show you guys. Put this up here. By the way, it's a few other products I wanted to show you guys. I might as well combine it all together. Once again, I appreciate you guys joining me, bearing with me here before I wrap this video up. I'm just going over some supplements that I take. I've taken over time. I take them at different times. I spread it out, by the way. This is a product I purchased from InfoWars. This is colloidal silver, high concentrated form. You know, I take some of it now. It's been a minute. I got a lot, by the way. It's good stuff right here. Helps fight colds and things of that sort. Other things, by the way. And you can go on YouTube in general and see what the benefits are. I actually keep this in the refrigerator. Many of these products, supplements I take, by the way. I show cell force, or what did I put? Hold on. Brought DNA. So okay. Yeah, I'm back, guys. This is DNA Force right here. Now, this is recommended before you take this product. This has a lot of, I heard, he said privately, a lot of medical professionals get this. You have telomeres that deals with your aging process that can help if you're eating healthy, nutritional foods, can help slow down and extend your telomeres dealing with your aging process. By the way, naturally. There's another one product that's similar called Cell Force. I don't know if he has this in stock anymore, still sells this, that has CoQ10 and PQQ in it, just like the DNA Force had. It's recommended that before you take these supplements, you do a detox, which I didn't do, but I did like a form of it where I had liver cleanse, but I purchased some other products. Liver cleanse, this is really good, by the way, because your liver, your gallbladder, they work in unison. These are different herbs you can look up contained in these products. By the way, take some of this, by the way. This is good stuff right here. Liver cleanse speaks for itself, by the way, because when people abuse alcohol, cigarettes, and things, that can weigh on your kidneys. Your liver can lead to early heart disease, problems with the lungs, things of that sort. So when you take the supplements, you're helping the maintenance dealing with your body, just like when you're taking a car to get it oil changed, or you're keeping up on the fluids, the maintenance of it. The human body, similar over time, certain parts of the body are designed to wear down or wear out. So based on your activity, also your diet, what types of foods the healthier, the better maintained you're going to be, especially vegan, with a vegan diet, things of that sort. I'm almost out of, I don't know if he still has this product. It's called Happy's. It's still with mood and stress, by the way. If you're stressed out, it's had some interesting ingredients. I won't go over all of the ingredients because this is like a combination. This is a super male vitality. By the way, I take, this is good stuff because I work a night shift. So say if I'm not able to get access to the coffee, by the way, which I've had organic kind before. A friend of mine, when I would go over his place, makes the organic kind. I take a whiff of this. This helps keep me up naturally. By the way, he has another product now called Turbo Force, which I saw unofficial review, by the way. And by the way, on the side tip, Alex Jones didn't ask me to do this. I'm not paid by InfoWars at all, but I'm just giving you guys an inside look and some of my personal business, what I do, how I maintain and try to keep up, and kind of helps, with my type of work schedule. But I take some of this. I had one more bottle that I just started. I think this one I just finished. By the way, and sometimes when I can't get to the coffee, by the way, I'll take a whiff or a couple drops of this, and this will help keep me up, especially being on a graveyard shift. Because back in 2016, by the way, I worked 55 days straight. I kept track on one stint. Then I did another separate stint where I worked 37 days straight, believe it or not. And I was 37 years old at that time. So these products do really help, despite what I heard about BuzzFeed did an article because they think they're a left-leaning site. They don't like him. They don't like who he is, stuff like that. So just to give you guys a heads up, you're hearing from a real person. His products do work, but I would encourage you guys, I do give a disclaimer. This is not medical advice, but I myself personally, I did the research. I do the homework before I purchase something. By the way, I've even purchased off-brand products like this. I got this off of eBay. This is vitamin D3. When I hurt my knee last year, I forgot to give an update when I thought I tore my meniscus. by the way. This has vitamin K2 in it. By the way, see Serena Williams says in the chat, says, how can we purchase those products? You can go to Infowars.com. His store should be on the site, or just type in Infowars store separately. Or if you go to band.video, which I posted, matter of fact, what I can do is post a link in the description box. Let me see here. Copy. And then you'll just go to the section that says shop now. But I put the link in the description box, by the way. So he didn't sell this product just using this as an example. By the way, I had another brain supplement that I bought from Whole Foods some years ago, but this was seemed to be a lot more potent. By the way, I'll show you guys. I'll compare products. All right. Thank you guys for waiting, bearing with me there. So I grabbed another one supplement I'm gonna go over. But you see, this isn't no official promotion, so this is just random. I'm just adding this into this video. I could do a separate video if you guys want to see on the product supplements I take, by the way. But this is a product I bought from Whole Foods some years ago that had ginkgo biloba in it. It's a plant that the dinosaurs used to eat, the other life forms from many years ago from that plant, ginkgo biloba. But this brain supplement was a lot more potent when I took this kind from Infowars. I felt the effects like couple hours, may have took a couple hours, but I definitely could tell over time your brain is more wired up because part of your energy is tied in with your brain. Like, you know, someone says they're mentally tired too, by the way. So I don't know if I went over Alpha Power. I have another full bottle of this. I don't take this that much, but last year when I went to the amusement park and everything, and secretly when I was at the hotel, took this before. It's like just a natural boost. It's like another version of powdered form of Super Male Vitality. It has good benefits in it. I have to see what are the ingredients, by the way. It contains this contains zinc, niacin, some other products, maca, horny goat wheat, tibulus terrestris, maca. It has LJ1000 in it. I'm not really too familiar with that product, but I'll do research. If you go to the site, you can look at you can read the label and you can do research. That's what I do, you know, just myself personally. Also, on your blood type, I'm not sure, you know, people what your blood type is, but that may be another thing you want to do. They say we're really supposed to eat according to their blood type. So I didn't consult, me personally, I didn't consult a physician. You know, this is like being like your own medical person. I just did a lot of research. I know what things that I'm allergic to is in terms of food wise, that people have food allergies or whatever. So I was taking a risk, but I was confident in my immune system and knowing the power of the body. And when I was telling the story, what my sensei was explaining to me some years ago, just now, earlier when I was telling, what was that story about, kind of, pertaining to the selenium. When I had a relative who she was having trouble getting pregnant. She married my cousin. She's the first lady of a church. My cousin is a pastor's wife. So she mentioned, I don't know if because I told another relative years ago, and I said, I found out what you need when they told me the story. I said, I heard that she needed selenium, that this helps women who may be having trouble bearing children, by the way. And then this also is good for men's heart, because I lived with the pastor years ago. Him and his wife were into holistic medicine at the time, or practices. And I actually ran into the doctor. I used to hear them mention. A friend of mine took me to an event, and I ran into, his name went by the name Dr. Vincent. So I recognized, said, that's him. It's probably not a lot of people. And sure enough, come to find out it was in downtown Detroit, some type of cryptocurrency event. A friend of mine invited me to. I carpool with him, by the way. But Dr. Vincent shared some things. So I do a lot of research myself. And there's a doctor that Alex partnered with. I won't go into all the details, but you definitely, if you can, definitely support Alex Jones, what he's doing. He's also an activist, the work he's doing. He does need the funds to battle the deep state, the New World Order, because George Soros is a billionaire, Michael Bloomberg, they have an unlimited war chest of funds, and there's a lot of other cronies, and they need their grassroots support. It does help tremendously, just like, you guys donate to me. It does help. The channel helps if I decide to go to the next level. By the way, I am seriously considering the Patreon, by the way. So I'm going to acknowledge you guys' questions in the chat. I don't want to, I've got a few other products I'm going to show before I wrap things up, because we over 3 hours in, by the way. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go all the way back up from the top where I left off. Hopefully, remember March, they got the footage. Okay, true opportunity. Mr. Dorsey, good to catch you, late. So, Greater Parrot says, what is Joe Biden's plan? By the way, that was a question from earlier. Well, it's pretty much obvious if you know what the left, what they want to do. By the way, he's tied in with the deep state, just no different than Obama, Hillary. By the way, they want to eventually, in the long run, it's going to be, he already, with his son Hunter Biden, he was involved with the Uranium One situation. Information came out on that. You have to ask the question, why isn't the mainstream media, CNN and MSNBC, covering that? And that was before that happened, all before the whole Russiagate thing situation. So just saying, I won't really talk about that, the way the energy is going there. So let me go. I can touch on it later if you're still there. Greater Parrot. Gerald Joke says their plan was to shut the planet down while they enjoyed their sinister ways. Yeah, that's an obvious, clear way of putting it. 7100 Warhawk says, Gerald Jokes, exactly. These are very evil people. By the way. Yep, you got it. I agree. Says Greater Parrot says, okay, I read that already. Gerald Joe says exactly. Andre Butler says, as yes, he is, says, very evil. Salute 100, 7100 Warhawk. This vaccine stuff keeps me up at night. Yeah, that's what we definitely, it's an important issue. I have, just to let you guys know, a couple subscribers. I've been reading the emails. It's a lot of information related to that. Because I had another friend, he was former military. He warned me about this stuff years ago. I actually have some documentaries I haven't even finished looking at or watching yet, because Dr. Fauci's tied in with the AIDS thing years ago too. So he has a history. He's a crony, with these people. These people, Alex Jones said, look at them like, if you've seen movies, they're the bad guys. They want you to think that Trump is the bad guy, but no, they're really the bad guys. They're the villains. By the way, look at them as Bill Gates, Dr. Fauci. They're the crime bosses. They're just, some of them are underlings. They're minions, by the way. Best believe Trump he's a patriot. He's a good guy that they want you to think is the bad guy, but no, he's really the good guy overall. When you understand, and for a worldwide scale, because of the role that the United States plays with our military. Too, we are the military arm of the world, but you want the right person running and controlling things. because when they say a new president gets sworn in, they have access to the nuclear codes. By the way, they said Trump, compared to all the other previous presidents, we haven't had ongoing wars with him. He's pulled troops out numerous times. Remember, Obama claimed he was going to end the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, kept the troops there. He promised after George Bush. Remember, he ran his campaign off that, and then he lied. Notice all of a sudden he's cool with Bush because you had a lot of peace activists who protested against Bush. So how is that all of a sudden Obama and Bush are real cool, lovey-dovey, but they're ganged up against Trump? Think about that. You got to brainstorm. Use critical thinking. That should tell you something. What side, who's on the good side, by the way. 7100 Walk says, getting me is the ignorance of people who have children. They're actually considering giving their children that shot. Yes, that's part of the plan. Celeste says, you're right. No, we don't want to know about the vaccine. Okay. Please don't lose your rest. Celeste 100. Serena Williams said, I said the same thing. How do we know it's the same vaccine set? Yup. I'm in agreements with you that you don't know what they're giving you. Just because Bush, Obama, and Clinton said they want to do a national thing to try to convince the American people, you got to ask the question, why do they need to convince us that it's safe? And then how do you know the version that they're getting is the good version or just water they're being injected with? Someone said, a sister said to me, I think yesterday or the day before I talked to, and I said, yeah, that's a good point. And why are they trying to convince you? You got to think about that for brainstorm. Warhawk says, thank you so much. I'm honored. Oh, no problem. Appreciate you. Gerald Joe says, remember, Dorsey, this is the same media that told us a man in a cave bombed the World Trade Center. Now they want us to take the vaccine. Yep, you're right. Remember, Nick Rockefeller admitted to former movie producer Aaron Russo, who came out publicly and said how Nick Rockefeller told him the story about how they came up with that hoax. Well, not a hoax, but the whole plot for the World Trade Center with Osama bin Laden. And he said they'll just keep repeating it, putting it in the media until people believe it. Remember Aaron Russo, former movie producer that did the documentary called America, Freedom to Fascism. Rest in peace to Aaron Russo. He exposed that and how Nick Rockefeller told him the plan of the New World Order. He came out as a whistleblower some years ago. So that kind of, ties in with your comment, Gerald. Thank you for that. White Owl says, I've had my Dinar since 2013. Okay. I feel you. We still waiting. 7100 Warhawk says, White Owl, I've had mine since 2011. It's been a long ride. Okay, Warhawk, that's the same year I've had mine since, by the way, since 2011 officially. Gerald Joke says, what's the name of that vitamin again? Okay, not sure which one I showed at the time you left the comment, because I showed multiple different supplements I take, by the way. But you go to his website, that's where you can get the products from. This InfoWars, and his store has them as well. Let me see. For example, if you're on your computer, your PC, or maybe laptop, if you even go to band.video, that's his video web hosting site. If you click on a link at the top, it'll take you to his store. If you go to InfoWars, it's a link. If you click on it, it'll take you to his store. And a lot of people have supported him. He said his listeners, that's hardcore, that's listened to him throughout the years. I'm a listener, been for a very long time. I think he is definitely a patriot fighting on our behalf, and it's detrimental at this point that you continue to support him. He's somebody who's been loyal, dedicated, behind the scenes. I can't just say enough. If anyone may be watching and has the money but is afraid to go public, tremendously, you won't go wrong with sticking with Alex Jones. If you had questions, I was telling the story earlier, I have a friend of mine, he asked me every now and then, what was my take with the COVID situation. I told him he knows who Alex Jones is. I said, stick with Alex Jones, InfoWars, go there, check the updates, read the articles. This is how you stay abreast of what's really happening out. If you want to know the real news that CNN, MSNBC is not going to cover, what they're not going to tell you, please, I can't, pray or beg you enough. because we're coming in. I've gotten word from some people. There's some things I can't go into details about, by the way, but I've been told, I already kind of known anyway, because of the type of information that I studied. There's people who roll in different circles, different disciplines, who share this type of information. And there's also many other websites as well that some of you guys just might not be aware of, but he's one that's pretty much well known. So I just wanted to kind of show you, and he's someone who I know is dedicated, that isn't a sellout like some have throughout the years. But I get some people had so much tremendous pressure put on them and threats and stuff, because these deep state people, New World Order people, are very nasty, mean-spirited, wicked people, by the way. They are out there. They do exist. Just keep that in mind. Let's see here. Okay, has some more people jumped in. By the way, okay, Celeste says, you're right, Dorsey. No, we don't need to know about that. Okay, I read that already. White Owl said, okay, I read that. Serena Williams says, how can we purchase these products? I put the link just once again in the description box. Several of the links that I actually that I put in the description box, minus the Dinar information I covered from earlier, but that alternate site for Baron.video censored by Jack. Remember, you might want to use different search engines sometimes if you're having trouble on whatever electronic device you're using. Just like I recommend you guys find the software to download YouTube videos, because some of them, those companies, one went out of business or said they're no longer doing business in the United States because of so-called copyright infringement. So you'll have the evidence one day since the censorship, these big tech giants are trying to cover up the evidence, by the way. So when you have software, in case my channel goes down, you will have it for your own record purposes or other channels, information out there, by the way. So you know that I'm telling the truth. I'm not lying to you. I'm not fabricating information. You'll have the evidence even for other content creators out there. And that's why I recommend we need to get on other platforms as well. I'm working on it. Probably Rumble I'm looking at. Looks like a winner is connected to Parler, I guess. Maybe some type of connection with Parler. I am on Parler, by the way. Should be in the description box. I know the more recent videos, I have it in there in the description box. Some of my earlier videos, it's not listed in there yet because I have it to set it on through the YouTube settings. But you can look up Matt Dorsey's resource, by the way. So if you want to follow me on Parler, and Parler, the algorithms are a lot better. It's like another form of Twitter, very similar. They use different. You'll figure it out once you go on there and play with it, and you can get verified too. By the way, you don't have to be conservative. It's not just for right-leaning people, but they want to be fair to people. But there's a lot of good information, and like I said, because the algorithm is a lot better, you're going to see posts and things like that. That's not going to be blocked that you will see on Twitter, or none of that other BS about the election that Biden won, or you're going to get a good web hosting platform that's being fair to you, that's not being biased. So I believe Rumble is a video hosting platform that some of these platforms are going to probably replace YouTube one day, because they said the amount of people they got scared that left Twitter because of the censorship and jumped over to Parler. So because they're threatened by it, you know what I'm saying? But just keep in mind, Parler is not only just for conservatives, or if you're a liberal, but you want freedom. Because I've talked to liberals and people. Even remember, Zero Hedge had a lawsuit with Facebook, and they were like in the middle. They were like maybe more right leaning, but they weren't necessarily. They were fair reporting, and they were censored where they filed, I guess, a lawsuit against Facebook. I think Zero Hedge is on Parler as well. So that's how you'll find some of these other people that have gone to other web hosting platforms. By the way, it's just what you use YouTube for. You use YouTube to redirect your traffic. That's why I'm still on some of these platforms, but I don't spend as much time like on my personal Facebook page. I had a relative saying that they were sending me stuff through Facebook Messenger. That's my way of boycotting Facebook, by the way. Even though I know I have my Dorsey's resource page because it's a lot bigger, I just post my videos on there. I don't really make too many other posts. But on my personal page, I ignore a lot of that crap on there. I have a lot of relatives that I'm family members with. I'm considering deactivating that because I'm not really active on it because that's my way of boycotting because of the way they've been doing people. They're dirty. The way they did the doctors who came out as whistleblowers with the COVID thing. You know, they're trying to cover up evidence. This is wicked, man. You know, obviously, you can clearly see. Free World 227 says, "What's both of their names again?" You have to remind me when your comment came in. I'm not sure who you're referring to. Gerald Dilk says, "Hopefully he put up the site." Yeah, I put up the websites. If you were referring to the links that I was going over about the supplements, you can purchase from Infowars.com. There was a few other supplements I was going to show, but since I saw you guys' comments coming in, I wanted to finish reading you guys' comments and statements. Then I'm going to get back, by the way, and then wrap things up. But it's in the description box of the chat section, by the way. And if you can, after the video uploads, you guys are welcome to leave a comment for other newbies coming in. You guys can post the links as well. If I don't put it in the description box, some of the videos I had in the past, I've linked his website, van.video, in my description box because I'm helping draw traffic over there too. I want you guys to support me as well, but I do understand he's a big platform, but he's someone that I trust. I've been a listener of a long time, and I purchased his products. Here's another one, a joint formula. By the way, this one has a combination of turmeric, rosemary leaf extract, ginger, holy basil, green tea leaf, Japanese knotweed. This says barberry root extract, oregano leaf extract, Chinese skull cap root extract. This is for your joints. And I'm taking this. I've mixed this with my oatmeal, and then I'll take the capsule, pour some in the oatmeal, and this is really powerful. I can tell the effects within one day. Like if I make the Quaker oatmeal, I like the maple kind. I'll pop this open, put this in there. This is some potent stuff, and I'll mix it right in, stir it in my oatmeal. By the way, this is a product. I don't know if he still sells this. Some of his suppliers he has over Infowars, he hasn't been able to get because COVID has messed a lot of stuff up. But some of the supplements he still sells is good stuff. This is got biotin, collagen, and it's good as we age. Biotin, it's good for your hair, your nails, stuff like that. Haven't taken only sporadically at times throughout the years, but this definitely is potent. Good formula. This also has, I believe, let's see here, vitamin C and E, and has zinc and copper. Some of his other products I show have zinc in it, which are supposedly beneficial for those if they've contracted corona. They say zinc and vitamin C help fight that, or dealing with those with SARS-CoV or whatever. I showed Liver Shield earlier. I keep this in the refrigerator generally. I took some actually. I'm almost out of this Happies. This is like for stress, for mood, whatever. Has supplements, and I mentioned how I'll take this before I go to work. Sometimes instead of coffee. By the way, this will help keep me up. By the way, he has another newer product that can't remember the name again. I mentioned it earlier. But it's for that has like it's like an upper, but it's more natural to help those to stay awake. Then I also bought for allergies pollen block. This is good, but I still from time to time I have taken the real regular stuff like Claritin for the most part, but I don't take that. I try to refrain from the synthetics or the pharmaceutical stuff that's connected to big pharma. Because of they say, my friend of mine told me your body, for example, can get your natural pain sensors and stuff can get thrown off. So try to stick with things that are more natural or manufactured in a more natural manner that's not going to hinder or hurt your body. By the way, I did give a disclaimer, so this is not medical advice. Please, in the event, it's encouraged you seek a medical professional. By the way. So just going over what's worked for me. I did my research. I encourage you guys to do your own. I'm just sharing and I could do a separate video actually, but I just decided to tie this in with this video, by the way. So I'm reading some more of the comments before I wrap things up. Free World says, do you stock on food, silver, and guns? That's a good question. I would say it won't hurt, but some personal things I can neither confirm nor deny. I'll just put it that way. It's a real good question. I've done some videos previously and talked about maybe a couple things that you listed in there. But I don't want to be, too blatant, because YouTube is public. Some questions you can read between the lines, by the way. But I would say it is recommended, definitely. And then maybe may need to get stronger in two of those areas that out of the three things that you listed, or maybe all of the above, by the way. But if you know that, then you know the writing's on the wall, what's coming down the pipeline, down the road. And if you can, if you have the money, some people have deep pockets. As I told a friend of mine, they were going to use, I told them, warned them years ago, I had to go through all this evil stuff compared to that program that I attended some years ago that took forever for things to happen. And I didn't want to go through the stress of that. But I said, I'll have to see, because they want me to sign an NDA. And I really don't want to be tied to no non-disclosure agreements. I'm going to tell you that, guys, that straight up, by the way. But I will, if need be, and if it's maybe to protect on behalf of other people. But I'm seriously evaluating it. It's a very tough decision, but I will honor that if I do go about doing that. That's why I said I will let you guys know if I go down, if I have to take my social media down. I will let you guys be aware. But there's mainly definitely the YouTube, by the way, because YouTube is very public. But I do make passive income off my channel, by the way, because my videos are monetized. And appreciate you guys for the help with the super chats, the donations from the Cash Apps. Big shout out to you, and the donations for the private consultation fees. So I'm still considering, don't know yet, but I will let you guys know if there's any changes if I do decide to get the Patreon going. I know I've said that for a while. But I'm going to get ready to wrap up. I'm going to read the rest of you guys' questions. I'm going to shut things down. But I definitely appreciate you guys joining, rocking with me so far. 7100 Warhawk says, I'm a grocery manager at a all organic, all natural health food store. Those are awesome products. Okay, great. Thank you for confirming. Awesome. So appreciate it when you guys can confirm, so other people that are curious or skeptical know, I'm not making this up, but I do encourage you guys to do your own research. So you're not just taking my word for what I'm saying. You can feel comfortable in making your own informed decision moving forward. And I'll also give a disclaimer that everyone is responsible for their own affairs, but at the same time, I want you guys to, do your own research. And then you'll find out, what I'm going over is accurate, for the most part. So 7100 Gerald Joe says, 7100 Warhawk says, give us the names for your eyes, brain, and getting old people's. 7100 Warhawk says, vitamin A is very good for eye health. Yes. Another thing you can do to kind of cheat in a way, if you have places that make smoothies, like if there's Mediterranean restaurants, by the way, really good smoothies. I haven't done this in a while. I may consider it tomorrow, maybe get like a carrot smoothie. They have, that's good for your eyes. They have celery smoothie. It has, I think, vitamin K in it. Orange smoothies are good. Mango smoothies are good for you. Guava as well. That has packed with a lot of vitamin C. Now, you have to check based on your sugar intake. I know some people can't have that much sodium and sugar based on whatever your health needs are. You have to evaluate that. But natural fruits and vegetables too are good things you want to check into. Will help with that as well. The supplements are just what's in the name. You're supplementing. By the way, I have another type of supplement coming. Soon, by the way, hopefully should be here soon. Moringa is another supplement I didn't go over. I bought that from a different site that I like that's very powerful. My friend's wife is from the continent, Africa, and that's tree, that plant is grown in certain countries or places, warmer climates, and that is really healthy for you. Has contains a lot of they say like 42 or all of the essential amino acids, something like that. You can look up, do the research on moringa. Has a lot of health benefits to it. I like when this one company came out with, they have a powdered form, but I would do the research behind the company, where it's coming from, where they're sourcing it from. But I like this one company. I purchased it previously. I had gone some months without having it for a while, and I ordered 2 bottles recently. By the way, it's very powerful. I actually gave some to a relative along with this colloidal silver, and they said they had a code, and they told me that they actually could tell it actually helped them out. Now, this colloidal silver, so many parts per million, it tastes almost like you can't taste it at all. It's like watery, by the way. And they took this along with the moringa. This was from InfoWars. The other supplement was from another site, by the way. Powerful stuff, I'm going to say. My relative that I'm not just going into the details about who they are, but they told me it was beneficial. It helped them out at the time. I'm glad it was able to. I would like to do more, but I don't have deep pockets like that. I'm still on a budget, just like everybody else. I have rent to pay. My rent is super high. I don't get Section 8, so all my money that comes out, my paycheck, portion of it, significant portion is going towards rent and bills, by the way, until I learn how to do other things of that sort and have time freed up, by the way. Serena S says, hi, I'm a fan. Thank you, Serena. Appreciate you. Anthony Coretti says, okay, thank you for joining. Serena S says, Obama defended Trump today. I saw. Okay, I don't know what that was about. Maybe something in the news. I don't know. Says, and Trump fired Bill Gates Friday. I saw winning. Okay, I don't know anything about that, unless you're referring to Dr. Fauci. Gerald Joke says, Serena, what? To which one? Laugh all loud. Serena, the comment about Obama speaking good of Trump. Naomi says, I hope so. Gerald Joke says, I posted the link. Serena says, oh, I hope and pray it's true. Serena S says, holistic is the way to go. Doctors will kill us. Naomi 415 says, definitely, I'm sick of the censorship by commies. Right. Naomi 415 says, that's a good combo for virus. Serena F says, I popped in for the RV stuff, calling it a day. Okay, appreciate you. I talked about the RV stuff earlier in the video. I know I transitioned to like a different topic for a while. I read some notes. By the way, I'm getting ready to shut things down, just to let you guys know we're at a record. I think this will be a record for me. We're at 3 hours, 37 minutes in. By the way, I haven't hit 4 hours like Young Pharaoh, who some of you guys were telling me about. I did a previous video a while ago when I was addressing some of the issues dealing with my people, the Black American melanated population. Some people were telling me, I didn't know who Grandmaster Jay was at the time. I see he was the guy that got arrested. He was an activist, whatever. I know he was protesting that Breonna Taylor situation, but I was reading in some of the Dinar information how they were having some type of conflict with Antifa and BLM or whatever. And that's why I said, I think Trump is your ally. Those who want to see the reset happen, that are currency holders, that hold Vietnamese dong, or are involved in the prosperity programs and stuff. Because the cabal is the reason why this is going on for so many years. The evil cabal, the deep state. So there's been good people that's been out there fighting. So I'm just letting you guys know, if you are currency holders, despite how you feel, you guys should get behind Trump. That's how we got to defeat the deep state. It's going to take a collective effort. Also support InfoWars Alex Jones. He needs our help. He even mentioned recently from watching Jones, he said when he goes to restaurants and places, he's being followed by the FBI. He said he goes places, they say, how you doing, Mr. Jones, or whatever. So this stuff is real. He's had to hire private mercenaries and private security just to protect them. He says most people now even a lot of minorities that recognize them, congratulate them, thank them, appreciative of them. Versus years past, there was a period that went through before people became more awake and understanding. He would get a lot of vitriol from Antifa people, but he needs our support. He's the front line. InfoWars has been the tip of the spear. I'm telling you guys, this is real. The New Order can be defeated. They are not invincible. But remember, it's up to us. We, the people, collectively have to not be afraid to speak to your relatives, debate them, warn your family members, stay in the info war. It's the information warfare that we're in. And that's why he named his site InfoWars, by the way. They want to, the mainstream media, you see with this propaganda, they want to brainwash people. They want to tell you there's no voter fraud when there's clear evidence of fraud, of election fraud, by the way. So, just put it out there. I'm going to read these last comments and get ready to shut things down. So Naomi 415 says that's a good combo. Okay, I read that. I popped in for the RV. Okay, I read that. Calling today. Thank you, Serena. Appreciate you. I understand. Get your rest. We're at midnight Eastern time. Naomi 415 says, does he still have silver? I really need that. It's been hard to find. Not sure which type of silver you're talking about there. Luis Garcia says celery juice is good to restore your liver and for leaking guts. Okay, I didn't know that. I haven't had it in a while, but was drinking celery juice not too long ago. Some of the smoothies I was getting, the way some of the places would make it was straight. So I was seeing them put the celeries in there, so I knew I was getting the health. So that's good information. So I appreciate you guys, everyone, for joining. I'm getting ready to wrap things up, shut things down. Everyone who's continued to subscribe to me, that follows my work, I do genuinely, sincerely appreciate you. I am your host, John Dorsey at Dorsey's Resource. You can follow me on my social media is at Dorsey's Resource on Facebook, Twitter. I'm on Instagram at Dorsey's Resource _2019. I'm also on minds.com. I just recently created an account on Parler because of all the censorship. In case something happens on Twitter, you guys still want to keep up with me. You guys want to know what I'm into, just if I pop in from time to time every now and then, or if there's going to be a way to find me if things just, black out. This is why it's important, and also to get on other web hosting platforms that don't censor. But with that being said, I'll leave you guys with these cliches. The marathon will continue. Real legends never die. Also, a big shout out to my brother Currency 365, who's been a big supporter of mine. You guys are welcome to go over to his channel, check out the work that he does. Appreciate the videos he puts out with Benny, Foot Forward, even the Intel he has excellent commentary over there, by the way. So it's good to have allies in the movement out there. And until next time, you guys have a blessed, wonderful night. Good evening, and stay blessed. Wakanda forever. Deuces.